Last week, UMass not only found a renewed defensive effort, but used a collective team push on their way to a season-resetting win at UConn. Today, they'll try to slow a high-octane offense as Liberty University comes to Amherst for the first time, led by their veteran quarterback, Buckshot Calvert. Buckle up. UMass football is next on 11 Sports. It is homecoming and senior day and a very windy day in the Pioneer Valley. It will be a factor as UMass looks for its fourth win of the season, facing the 4-3 Liberty Flames, the first meeting all time between these two programs. Welcome you to UMass alongside Andy Gresh. I am Eric Freed. When we were last here with you, UMass faltered down the stretch, lost to Coastal Carolina. They bounced back in a big way on the road at UConn.
Yeah, they needed it, Eric, and I think there was a lot of frustration mounting around this UMass program. And look, there's the whole New England pride as well, and I think UMass wants to get to a place where UConn is in terms of their status within the college football world, and that was a step in the right direction last weekend.
The key play in that game came very late. UMass was desperate for something good to happen in that game against UConn, and they made it happen in the fourth quarter. Marquise Young trying to push into the end zone and needed some help, and everyone provided a hand, including quarterback Ross Comas, and every little bit helped. He helped give UMass its first lead. They won at 22-17, 148 yards on the ground for Young.
Yeah, Marquise Young could be big today because we know both teams, Eric, want to come in and throw the football, but let's not forget, Marquise Young, over 3,350 rushing yards in his career, and every year at UMass, he's gone over 1,000 all-purpose yards each season because he can do that, return kickoffs and hit the big one.
Let's get to know Liberty a little bit. It's their first year as an FBS program, and I think it's surprising that they come in here at 4-3. Turner Gill is their head coach. You know that name if you followed college football for a period of time. This has been a very good first season. They are playing meaningful games in November, 2 wins from bowl eligibility, and they've got a quarterback that you love, Buckshot Calvert.
Yeah, the old Buckshot Calvert. We'll get to him, but part of the reason this program has made a seamless transition is because last season 29 touchdowns, 6 interceptions. Now you see a guy who's poised in the pocket and ready to play at the FBS level.
It was pouring earlier today. The sun. We'll talk about the weather because it will have an impact on this game. UMass and Liberty, the kickoff is next. For the last time at McGuirk Stadium this season, UMass takes the field. They have one home game remaining. They'll be played at Gillette Stadium in Foxborough next week. It is homecoming, as I mentioned, and senior day, so a lot of emotion for UMass here today as the sun shines here in Amherst. Let's join the third member of our team, Matt Goldstein.
Key for today for UMass is to continue the progress the defense has made since the bye week. Through the first 7 games of the season, UMass defensively was giving up 44 points a game, but since that bye week, just 20 points a game. Talking with Mark Whipple this week, what was the big difference? Well, first they got Jarrell Addo back, who missed the first 6 games of the season. Isaiah Rogers missed the first 2 games of the season, and in those first 7 games, there were so many injuries that guys weren't practicing all week long. They were just strapping it up on game day. So there was a lack of communication and that familiarity with each other. They have that back since the bye week. See if UMass can contain a very high-powered Liberty offense, averaging 34 points a game. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Matt. 64 wins for Mark Whipple, his 21st year overall as a head coach. Turner Gill on the other sideline, 45 wins, 13 years as a head coach overall, 4 years at Buffalo, a couple of years at Kansas. They have won back-to-back games coming off a bye week. Before the bye week, it was a win over FCS Idaho State in a shootout, 48-41. UMass won the toss. They deferred, so they will kick off to Liberty. And with a strong wind at his back, Cooper Garcia lofts it up, and it is taken at the goal line. Out across the 10 in a little hesitation, but it does not cost Liberty. And breaking up down the sideline, there's a flag on the play. Finally driven out of bounds after a long return, but let's check on that flag.
Yeah, this one's coming back.
Doing the return. Holding. Receiving team, number 32. Half the distance to the goal. First down.
So an early penalty on Liberty. The Flames averaging 43 yards in penalties per game. We mentioned the wind. It was raining earlier today, really pouring, but it looks like the threat of rain has gone. But this is a wind that right now is blowing from 10 to 20 miles an hour. We expect it to pick up as the afternoon goes along, and the Weather Service predicting gusts up above 40 miles an hour. Right now, Liberty going into that wind here in the first quarter. And they go to the ground, and there's Brighton Barr tackle, but a gain of about 5 yards. So Liberty has multiple options field. That's Frankie Jr. out of Lynch in the first carry. We expect to see Kentori Matthews, the senior who started the season as the number 1 back from injury, thrown outside to Kentori. Right at the first down marker, looks to be enough to move the chains as you take a look at Stephen Buckshot Calvert.
We'll get the Buckshot name a little bit later on, but Stephen Calvert, a junior, percentage, not at the percent or 62% level that you would like it to be, but highly productive getting the ball in the end.
Hickson gets through the line again, and another good run. Ricky Hickson. This running has been better than expected for Liberty this year, according to head coach Turner Gill.
Yeah, and this is just your basic handoff. Here's your zone to the inside. You see Leon Flanagan Jr. trying to fight over the top, and not only did we have a play, but I think we're going to get some pass interference here on Antonio Andy Gold.
Defense. Automatic first down.
Oh, they went against Isaiah Rogers there. I thought the offense was going to get that call. Instead, it ends up going on the defense. Here's the thing about Liberty, Frito, and we mentioned Stephen Calvert. They're going to go fast. They're going to play fast. They're going to mix in the run, but they love to throw the pill, does Liberty.
Matthews in the backfield with Calvert. Liberty averaging better than 33 points a game and over 470 yards total per game. Barr knocks it down, and then Calvert with a pretty strong defensive play to make sure Brighton Barr didn't get an interception.
He could have jumped up and caught the ball on his own and then got tackled, but the smart play there by Buckshot Calvert to knock that ball down. And there you see the flowing locks of Brighton Barr around the football once again. They tried to go with a quick little pop pass, but Barr had nothing doing there. He read that from the get. Good job of getting his hand on the football and knocking it down.
A lot of company in the backfield for Calvert. Delayed handoff, and UMass is there. Hickson this time. It's free safety Tyler Hayes coming up to make the stop.
And I think a couple of keys for UMass on defense is they can't be dazzled with all the eye candy. There are going to be a lot of shifts, a lot of motions. You're going to see running backs just kind of running out into the flat. UMass has got and great eye discipline today.
Antonio Gandy Golden is the go-to receiver for Liberty. 42 catches on the season. He's split wide to the right. Calvert under pressure, down he goes. UMass getting sack number 9 on the season. Chinadu Ogbonna.
Ogbonna was right around the edge. You're going to see him bottom part of your screen working on the right tackle, Ethan Crawford. Crawford can hardly get out of his stance. And Ogbonna was right there along with Jarrell Addo around the quarterback. And boy, UMass needs a bunch of that. Only 8 sacks heading into this game. That's a big one there here in the first quarter.
Freshman Aiden Alvis averaging 33.5 yards a punt, kicking into the wind. Calls for a fair catch at the offense onto the field. I thought the wind was going to play a big role here in this game, but you think maybe not so much. I thought maybe the passing game could get limited, but what do you think?
I think the kicking game will be affected. A problem, but I don't think it's going to be that big a deal. There's a little thing they hit the goalpost there. We'll have to watch these goalposts today because I think they're going to be rocking, especially when it comes to kicks, and that'll give us a better idea as to exactly what's going on in terms of wind in the stadium.
Our cameramen are weighted down as well because the cameras may rock a little bit today.
Well, with the great meal, of course they're weighted down.
Ross Comas with a short pass to Andy Isabella. Get the ball into the hands of a playmaker. That's what UMass does so well, and Isabella has his first reception. That is catch number 69 on the season.
Yeah, Andy Isabella, the best in FBS right now in terms of catching the football, and UMass going to play with some pace here. Ross Comas is the starting quarterback.
Comas, quick pass to Isabella, who takes it across the 41-yard line.
Of course, Andrew Ford out for the rest of the year with the knee injury, and normally Ford and Comas will end up sharing some time, and now the senior Comas gets these last couple of games here all to himself in a UMass uniform, off to a good start.
2 catches for Isabella on the first drive. 34 straight games now with at least 2 catches for Isabella. Pass intended for tight end Kyle Horn, incomplete, and a 3rd down and 7 play coming up for the Minutemen.
You know, and I think that's one thing that's been inconsistent about this UMass offense this year is production out of the tight end. We were so hooked into Adam Brenneman for a couple of years, transferring in from Penn State and being a factor over the middle. Haven't gotten that kind of production yet. If they could find someone to occupy the middle, even just for today, it's going to open things up on the outside for Isabella.
UMass needs to get to the 48-yard line for a first down, and Comas, good with his legs, throws it, and it's complete to Zach Simon. He's got the first down, and Simon holds on to the football into Liberty territory.
This is great work by Ross Comas. Normally when Ross Comas starts to slide out of the pocket, he's going to run with the football. That time, he keeps the head up and sees Simon coming on the crossing route. Dangerous to throw across the body like that, but a good effort by both guys.
17-yard play. Comas working quickly, scrambling, and brought down. Turner Gill's big concern when it came to Ross Comas was, he's going to make big plays. You want to limit the number of big plays he's able to make because he can beat you with his legs and with his arms.
Yeah, I think it's one of these deals where don't let him be the guy to get the first down, especially in 3rd down situations. Don't give him the ability to escape and the ability to move the chains on you. If you keep it to where you got to continue to fight another down, then you give yourself a chance defensively if you're Liberty.
Marquise Young with the carry. Had a little bit of a hole there. Lucas Coulter unable to go today, senior out of Germany at right guard. So Mike Girardi Jr. has had a lot of experience shuffling in on that offensive line, getting the call today.
Yeah, it looks like Girardi is in at left guard, and they took the starting left guard, Jake Largay, and moved him to the right side.
Comas on 3rd down and 8. He's got time. Running out of time and in trouble, and down he goes. Big loss on the play. Comas held onto it for too long, and that takes away any idea of maybe going for it on 4th down in Liberty territory, and UMass forced to punt.
Yeah, Comas trying to get it down the field here, but not enough work in the secondary by the wide receivers to try to get open. Comas does a great job of making sure he gives himself the ability to throw the football, and Solomon Ajayi, the brother of Jay Ajayi in the NFL, with the sack.
Travis Reynolds will get the first punt for UMass. Minutemen using 2 punters. This one carried by the wind inside the 5-yard line, and the Minutemen unable to secure it inside the 5. So it's a touchback. Each team has had the ball once. We're scoreless here in the first quarter in Amherst.
Different. It's a swirling wind. There was times when I'd be out kicking field goals pre-practice, the winds at the flags at the top of the uprights would be blowing from right to left. You'd kick a ball and it would slice to the right, so you can't judge by the flags on top of the uprights. Guys, back to you.
That's a little local knowledge that UMass can put to work here today.
Well, I mean, that's why I mentioned follow the uprights, because they're so big now, they'll tell you the way the wind's blowing.
Calvert throws inside and a big gain on 1st down for Liberty. That's Caleb Coleman, freshman from Washington, his 11th catch of the year. Liberty is shorthanded in the receiving corps. Senior Damian King, slot receiver, is out today. B.J. Farrow, a senior, 3rd on the team in receptions with 27, out with an ankle injury. So Coleman, who had 7 catches against Idaho State, has 1 here in the first quarter against UMass. Fumble, ball's out and still out. UMass got a little greedy, tried to scoop and run with it, and they couldn't recover it.
Yeah, it looked like Coleman, 17, was the Liberty player who was able to jump on that football, but a great job of getting a hat on the ball to force that thing out from the UMass defense. Take a look at it one more time. There comes the back through the hole, and then, well, it's just a great hit right there to force the football out. And then you're right, Frito, just jump on it. Don't try to scoop it.
First down and 10 for Liberty. Calvert across the middle, and that one seemed to get a little air under it as he's throwing into the wind. Incomplete.
Yeah, that was just a bad throw right there, and good pressure by the UMass defense. You know, Buckshot Calvert is an interesting guy. 15-10 career record, and he is one of only 3 quarterbacks right now in FBS football with over 7,000 yards passing and 60 touchdowns.
Junior hands off here on second down, and UMass is there in the backfield. A good effort to push forward by Peyton Pickett, sophomore from Arlington, Texas, transfer from Trinity Valley Community College. A lot of transfers on this roster for Liberty as they make that jump from FCS to their first full year at FBS. Big scholarship jump, and Turner Gill told you, it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
I need to get bodies in here. I want to develop young men over 4 years, but right now when you're jumping into that deep part of the pool, you better have guys, men who are ready to play.
And they were successful at the FCS level, which always helps in your transition and moving up.
Third down and 10. They need to get to the 35-yard line for a first down. 7:40 to go first quarter. Calvert with time, and it's incomplete. Isaiah Rogers on the coverage. DJ Stubbs, slot receiver, the intended receiver. And Liberty will be forced to punt.
I mean, this is what this UMass defense needed. 2 stops, and they did force a fumble, even though they didn't recover it. So getting out there and body rocking a little bit and separating players from the football, Ed Pinkham's got to be pretty happy with his defense so far here in this first quarter. And we know at times it's been a real struggle for Ed's group.
Alvis on the punt for a second time. His first one went for 39 yards. Isabella gets away from this one. And it will take a good bounce for Liberty and roll down to just outside the 10-yard line. That's where UMass will go to work when we come back. Get more 11 Sports Daily by following along on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at 11 Sports USA. Find out what events are coming up, information about teams and players, and what games will be streaming live on different social media sites. Follow 11 Sports USA now. Second possession for the Minutemen. They start at their own 11-yard line, and Ross Comas will throw again, and he'll look deep. And he's got Andy Isabella. Great catch by Isabella, and you will not catch him with that speed. Touchdown, UMass.
Liberty's Bajor Wilson just got Izzied. Line it up, and what looks like is going to be a run set. You go play action, and you tell number 5, go run by a guy. No safety in the middle of the field, and Andy Isabella does the rest. People are going to love him somewhere next year playing on Sundays.
Cooper Garcia on to attempt the point after. 26 for 26 on the season. And Garcia puts it through. Comas to Isabella, 89 yards for the touchdown.
It's amazing how they're almost able every time to dial this up. Andy Isabella lined up on the left side. Ross Comas, he can't even outthrow him. Isabella does the rest, and the Minutemen are on the board at McGuirk.
The Isabella with his 10th touchdown reception this year, 27th of his career. Came into the game first in FBS football in total yards this season. He's over 1,100 on the season. And there you see, tied for second in the all-time list with Jason Peebler.
It's It's pretty amazing what Andy Isabella is capable of. He came here as a running back. They realized the long speed. He was a 100-meter champion in high school. And they said, you know what, let's put him in a wide receiver. Heading into today, his last 33 games, 2,919 yards. So now 34 games, and he's over 3,000. Just an amazing amount of production from Andy Isabella.
Yep, came in needing 81 for 3,000, and thanks to that 89-yard touchdown, well past that mark. Good hit across the 25, Ruane on special teams. So let's see what Liberty can do with their third possession of the afternoon.
You know, and Eric, I know you mentioned that the wide receiver Damian King is out, but losing B.J. Farrow, he was a guy who had 19 career touchdowns. And I think for someone like Buckshot Calvert, the quarterback, knowing that you had a guy that you could count on in the red area to get into the end zone and you take him away, that's a big piece of this offense that's missing for the Flames.
Tracy Jones, our referee, says the last play is under review. We'll head to video review here.
Why? Is my question.
That was going to be my question to you.
Yeah, well, you know, the big dumb guy doesn't know. So I don't know. I don't know if it's an issue of a spot. I don't think there was anything in terms of targeting that needed to be reviewed. The hit was from the side. So I really don't know what the beef would be.
Could be targeting. That would be the first thing that comes to mind. But generally, you would hear the referee say the previous play is under review for targeting. But
so it seems like they are checking to see if his knee was down when he caught the ball, which we saw in a game earlier this year where a punter went down to go snag one and grabbed it with the knee on the ground.
After review, the ruling of the runner's knee not being down stands will be 1st and 10 from the 27.
So no change. Liberty will go to work.
You know, you really don't think of that in terms of fielding the football, and sometimes players don't either. But that's kind of a big deal in terms of fielding it. Keep those knees off the ground.
Play action on first down. Calvert will throw it up and looking for AGG, and this is what he does. He fills up the highlight reel. Antonio Gandy Golden with a great grab.
Oh, that was a golden catch right there. A lob from Stephen Calvert. He points the football. Boy, that's a great catch by 11.
Looking to repeat it, and this is intercepted, but the whistle was blown just as the ball was being thrown.
There was notification from replay. The previous play is under review.
So they want to make sure that Antonio Gandy Golden made the first catch before they could throw it up to him and see if they could get another one out of him. And this is going to be, we can look at it one more time. He points it in the right hand, so there's the catch. He completes it. The ball does move a little bit as it's hit from Isaiah Rogers. And now we're going to get into the whole completing the catch. So he's got it. The ball gets hit. It doesn't. He's up against the body.
I'll tell you what. Rogers' argument is that he dislodged that football as he was coming down. So the question is, did he dislodge it enough for it to be an incomplete pass?
No, I think it's a catch.
After review, the ruling on the field of a catch resulting in a first down stands.
Yeah, it never really came away from the body. So while it moved, if you watch Antonio Gandy Golden, he points it right here. So he catches it on the point. It gets hit, but he never loses possession on that original part of the catch. I mean, that's a good effort by Isaiah Rogers. That's a great catch from Antonio Gandy Golden. That is something.
Came in today leading the team with 42 catches for 639 yards. 106 yards a game, had a 245-yard performance against New Mexico this season. To the ground on first down, not much doing for Peyton Pickett.
Right now, Liberty's run game really not producing very much in this first quarter, but You know, we mentioned number 11, Antonio Gandy-Golden, 6'4", 220 pounds. He's lined up at the bottom of the screen. And in terms of the mismatch, Isaiah Rogers comes in at 5'10", 190. Get in trouble, throw it up to the big boy, let him make play.
Loss of 1 on the play, 2nd and 11. Rogers, man coverage. Gandy-Golden turns around and steps out of bounds. Another catch for the big target for Liberty.
Well, that's a great play by AGG, but Isaiah Rogers has got to stop beefing with officials in the middle of the play. So Calvert throws it up, and there was some push in there or whatnot, and you see right away Rogers turns around to start beefing with the official. Complete the play, then talk to the Zebras.
22-yard pass play down to the 15-yard line. Calvert to pass on 1st down. Pressure from behind, and he will throw it away.
Smart veteran move right there from Stephen Calvert.
If you're Ed Pinkham, what adjustments do you try to make? Can you have Isaiah Rogers out there in man coverage on AGG?
I mean, if you move over Lee Moses, he's got an inch on him, but I think he's just a mismatch. And I think it's either rolling a safety over the top or maybe try to be physical with him and knock him off that route initially and force Calvert to move in the pocket.
Throwing it back for Gandy-Golden, but that time it's off the mark, and a 3rd down play coming up.
You know, I mean, in the pro game, right, you know, we've seen the Patriots have bigger wide receivers or people dealing with, say, a Rob Gronkowski. So when you're dealing with a player of size, you've got to mix it up. It can't just be one thing. Hey, I'd let Isaiah Rogers roll up and try to get in his grill in those first 5 yards. I'd back him off late and maybe try to get a bit of a sight adjustment. You got to mix it up against somebody that big.
Now, Lee Moses has come up within a yard of Gandy-Golden, so this is a different look on 3rd down and 10.
And he's going to hit him off the line of scrimmage, too.
They'll still throw it up for him, and he'll still make the play. Touchdown, Liberty.
But that's really all you can do. Mix up the coverage, mix up the guys covering him, try to be physical. And sometimes a great player is going to make a great play, and that's exactly what Antonio Gandy-Golden does right here, working against Lee Moses. Moses is trying to force him to the sideline, to squeeze him a little bit. The problem is he gets behind him in deep, and it's easy pickings for number 11.
15-yard touchdown from Calvert to Gandy-Golden. Alex Probert, who missed the first 6 games of this season with a lower body injury. He was their #1 place kicker the last 2 years, and he is back. It looks like he'll have full kicking duties this week. So Antonio Gandy-Golden with his 8th touchdown of the season. Calvert throwing the touchdown, that's his 17th.
So we take a look at it from the pocket. Calvert knew exactly where he was going. I mean, he hardly dropped back, for crying out loud. And it's thrown to a spot and let Gandy-Golden go make a play. I mean, look, whether the mismatch is long speed, which is what UMass has with Andy Isabella, or you have Liberty with Antonio Gandy-Golden and his size is the mismatch. Either way, it's all in how you work it. How do you move them around? You know, anytime they move Antonio Gandy-Golden anywhere other than outside, you know, then it's going to cause a reaction within this UMass defense. And I think ultimately that may be the next layer for offensive coordinator Joe Daly, is to move 11 around, see how UMass reacts to it. But UMass got to get the football and go back down and score again to back their defense, who has not played badly this first quarter.
Probert kicking into the wind, and Marquise Young is back to take it at the 12-yard line. Young has taken one all the way back this year. 93 yards is a pretty good return out to the 35-yard line. Liberty has given up big plays on defense, and they've given up big plays on special teams, a kick return and a punt return for a touchdown.
Yeah, and those are killers, and I think that's where your depth, you know, you mentioned earlier talking to Turner Gill this week that he talked about, hey, we're moving up so we don't have the full complement of scholarships. When you got to use starters on special teams, or if you can't afford to use a starter on special teams and you got to start to go into your depth that maybe isn't ready to play, that's a phase of the game that can be hurt, and the numbers speak for themselves in terms of offense, defense for UMass and Liberty.
Liberty has given up 500 yards or more in 5 of their 7 games this year. Idaho State, an FCS team, put 631 yards on them 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And, you know, sometimes you're just in the sometimes you're just caught on a bad day. But I think both of these defenses this year, there's plenty of evidence to say they've struggled.
Back to the ground for Marquise Young. Back-to-back good plays for UMass. And Young on senior day, not going to go down without a fight. The senior from Fairport, New York, one of the very best in UMass history, playing his last game here today at McGuirk, 26 yards.
You know, there are times where we forget that Marquise Young was a guy who's very much on NFL radars, and this year it's been up and down in terms of his performance, but look at the fight, and the pile ended up pushing him, and a nice job of holding on to the football by Young.
Play action this time for Comas. Comas can't get away. The best D lineman of the moment for Liberty, it's Jesse Lemonnier. That is his 7th sack of the season. The transfer from Ventura College, 6'3", 240, and he has been wreaking havoc in opponent backfield.
Yeah, he's dominant this year. 34 tackles. That's another tackle for loss right there. That gives him 10.5. And look, on play action like that, if you're Ross Comas, you either got to commit to running or get yourself in a spot if no one's open to be able to throw it away.
Couple of sacks now for Liberty, giving them 16 on the season, 11 coming in just the last 3 games, including the 2 they've gotten here today. So they've been better on the pass rush as of late, and UMass is going to take a timeout with 3:27 to go here in quarter number 1. Did you know 11 Sports has a digital channel? 11 Next is on twitch.tv. Tune in weekly to watch football, basketball, hockey, darts, rugby, Quidditch, and more. Streaming live on Twitch. Follow at 11 Sports Next and never miss a minute of the action. First meeting all time between Liberty and UMass. They will be meeting each year.
Yeah.
For 8 years.
Yep.
Start of an 8-year series between these 2 FBS programs.
Yeah, and Liberty is already found a conference to be able to get into, and they're gonna take their time in terms of moving up, but a lot of money dedicated to facilities, and they're on their way.
Big run for Jordan Fredericks, and Fredericks steamrolls for a couple of more.
This is the great equalizer for UMass today. If they can run the football against this Liberty defense, who's giving up 238 yards per game on the ground, then the play action is going to open up in a big way as Andy Isabella is lined up at running back.
Comas throws it outside. Fredericks again gets a block from Kyle Horn, I should say, on the outside, the tight end. Picks up a couple.
Interesting what Mark Whipple did with personnel there. They essentially switched out Fredericks and Isabella. They put Isabella as the running back, Fredericks in the slot. The Liberty defense reacted accordingly, and Comas able to flip it out to Fredericks.
Gain of 5 on the play. Back to the ground with Comas keeping it. And he'll fall forward. That extra push may be enough for a first down. Saw at the top of our telecast the go-ahead touchdown scored by Marquise Young down at Rentschler Field last week. Everybody was pushing a pile, including Ross Comas, who jumped in and tried to give a little extra push.
Absolutely. Quarterback's got to get in there. You got to look at those big boys in the face, and they turn around and look and say, hey, QB, where were you? Comas had to go get him some, and then was the first one there to celebrate on that touchdown.
It is a first down, 1st and goal for UMass. Comas sees a little bit of an opening, will take it himself and lean forward. He's in the end zone for a touchdown. The grad student from West Virginia finds the end zone to put UMass back in front.
They try to develop a route where Andy Isabella is running underneath on a crossing route, and when he does, it pulls the linebacker, number 47, Remington Green. As soon as he went out of position following Isabella across the formation, that allowed Comas to hit it up in there for the touchdown.
Cooper Garcia to attempt the point after. 2 minutes to go in the first quarter, and UMass back in front. 8-yard touchdown run for Ross Comas.
You see Comas looking over the middle. See how he followed Isabella right there? And then as soon as the middle linebacker took a step out of position, Comas knew he was able to get up the middle and into the end zone for the touchdown. It's amazing how much attention Andy Isabella gets, and that's a really good job there from Ross Comas of understanding how the defense was going to react. He knew if he wasn't throwing it to Izzy on that crossing route that they gave him the ability to run.
Of course, Comas now making his second consecutive start after Andrew Ford had season-ending knee surgery. He was injured here in the fourth quarter in the loss to Coastal Carolina. Had surgery on his right ACL. The numbers for Ford, whose career comes to an end, as he posted on Instagram this week, not the way he wanted his career to end, but look at what he did here at UMass. Remember, he started at Virginia Tech, then went to community college, and then made a big impact here for the Minutemen.
Yeah, and you look at these numbers, and it goes to show how consistent that he was. The one that jumped out to me was the completion percentage. You're over 60%, you're doing something right.
Ball will bounce out of bounds, and there's the flag. So Andrew Ford,
kicking team, number 37. Ball will be placed at the 35-yard line. First down.
Through 57 career touchdowns. Also missed the Charlotte game this year. Ross Comas steps in. He's thrown for 1 and run for 1 to put UMass on top 14-7.
Yeah, the thing I love about Andrew Ford is he was also willing and wasn't a problem behind the scenes when Mark Whipple wanted to let Ross Comas play a little bit. They were able to share the position somewhat, and that's a testament to the mindset of Andrew Ford.
Calvert quick pass and a gain of 8. And Mark Whipple this week told us about Ross Comas, because when Ford took over at quarterback, remember Comas suffered an ACL injury against Old Dominion in 2016. Whipple said that Comas could have transferred, but he stuck with the program, and everyone in this program, as a flag is thrown on second down, respects him tremendously. I think he got a little taste that, like, he's trying to do whatever he can here in his final few games as a college football player, whether it's pushing a pile.
Good shift. Offense. More than one player moving without resetting. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
Pushing a pile at UConn or diving into the end zone trying to score here against Liberty.
And the one thing about Ross Comas is he's always had the ability to run the football. And I think that was the difference where Ford was mobile but not a runner, whereas Comas is mobile but is a runner. And it did add another layer to this UMass offense. I think both kids have comported themselves fabulously over their 3 years together here.
After the penalty to Liberty, it's a 2nd and 7 in a big hole up the middle and a first down carry. Frankie Hickson leading the team at 78 yards a game with a big gain for a first down.
Yeah, that's right up the middle. Those UMass defensive linemen have got to do a better job of controlling that.
First and 10 from the 47-yard line.
Approaching 1 minute to go here in the opening quarter. Another big hole and another big run for Hickson.
The edges have been problematic for this UMass defense in terms of stopping the run, and right there they work over left tackle Julio Lozano, who is making his 24th career start today. The edges have been a problem. You know, Brighton Barr can only cover so much out there from the second level.
Again, looking up top, throw it up to the 6'4" Gandy Golden. And it's another completion.
Now, I'll tell you, one of the things the UMass corners are going to have to try to do is, you see where Gandy Golden sort of lined up on the numbers right there? They got to try to squeeze him to the sideline as quickly as possible.
Here's another play that was snapped. We saw that earlier in this quarter, and the officials blow it dead because I think we're going to a replay.
Prior to the snap, there was replay notification. The previous play is under review concerning the catch for a first down.
So here we go again. We're going to look at Antonio Gandy Golden and another catch. There's the football. Let's see.
That's a catch.
Yep, he got one down, and that's all you need. And it did not look like he was on that out-of-bounds line at all. A little difficult to tell because of the shadows. The field isn't as bright there. I mean, that looks like a catch to me, and a pretty easy call to be able to confirm. Because, again, it was a catch on the field. So if you're going to overturn it, there's got to be conclusive evidence to be able to say that you're overturning it. And I think they're going to confirm this catch, and we'll get back to playing.
The ruling on the field stands. First down.
And as I mentioned before, if you're UMass, you got to try to get Gandy Golden up against the sideline as quickly as you can so he doesn't have that room to operate with his feet. It's either that, or if you try to jump outside, he just runs a go route on you. So you'd have to have a safety over the top. You really can't do that. You got to try to be physical with him at the line of scrimmage.
4 catches, 95 yards. That last one for 21 yards. Hickson breaks tackles, and he's in for a touchdown. The Liberty offensive line controlling play at the moment. And the Flames are within a point with the extra point upcoming.
But that was also a reaction from the UMass defense to what Gandy Golden had done. They wanted to take away the slant route to his side. So Bryce McAllister, number 2, walked over there, and then they run it to the backside. So there's no safety to be able to help. You see McAllister, he flashed at the very end of that play trying to jump in, but to no avail.
That is the end of the first quarter. We expected a lot of points, and the wind has done nothing to slow that pace down. 11-yard touchdown run for Frankie Hickson, his 7th of the season, tied at 14 after 1. 28 combined points in the first quarter here in Amherst. Hickson, 11-yard touchdown run to close out the first quarter. We're tied at 14. Eric Freed, Andy Gresh, Matt Goldstein, our 11 Sports crew here on a windy day. Homecoming and senior day. Final game this year at McGuirk Alumni Stadium. One more home game to go for UMass. They'll be at Gillette against BYU noon next Saturday. You can see the wind. Been pretty constant here. It's going to shift. It looks like it has started to shift a little bit more from the west, so that will be a breeze from the press box blowing towards the sun side of the field as we go along here, and it's supposed to be consistent throughout the afternoon and into the early evening. So the team switch ends, and it's Young from the 6. Young to the 21, and UMass will go to work. And let's see what Liberty can do on defense for their head coach Turner Gill in his 7th season as Liberty's head coach, 6-5 in each of the last 3 years, and you see his career highlights. He's done a few things in the game of football and in baseball too, for that matter.
Yeah, just a little bit. You see he's a Heisman finalist, was a part of Tom Osborne's staff at the University of Nebraska, and he was the hot coaching candidate for such a period of time. Went to Buffalo, they win the MAC. He goes to Kansas, and, well, I mean, there's been nobody who's been able to turn Kansas around. And then the consistency here to shepherd Liberty from FCS to FBS.
30-second timeout.
A mistake here by UMass. After receiving the kickoff, they have to call a timeout before they even get a playoff. So they burn their second timeout. So it's 30-second timeout. That's just enough time for me to remind you that UMass is back in action next week. We'll have it for you right here on 11 Sports. Saturday, as I mentioned, noon Eastern time, BYU, a team that has been up and down this season, coming off a loss at home to Northern Illinois last week. They've got Boise State this week. It'll be at Gillette Stadium noon next Saturday here on 11 Sports.
UMass beat BYU last year out in Provo, so I'm sure the Cougs will be thinking of that, but that one in Gillette Stadium, that'll be a big one next week.
UMass had 179 yards of offense in that first quarter. Liberty 195 yards. Remember, it was a big play to Comas. This time they go underneath to Fredericks, who picks up 11 on first down. So Jordan Fredericks has rushed one time for 23 yards. He's got a couple of receptions for 15 yards.
You know, these running backs after Marquise Young, Marquise is a senior, so for Jordan Fredericks or Nick Oracoya, Victor Santiago, these guys are all getting opportunities to stake their claim to the position next year.
Fredericks trying to turn the corner. He'll pick up a couple. Bilal Ali announced on Twitter this week that he was leaving the program, so he was in the mix at running back. So a little thin in the backfield right now, with Young back from his injury last week, going for 148 yards, his first 100-yard day of the season in that win against UConn.
Well, that's where being multiple helps Mark Whipple.
Thrown outside to Isabella. Isabella gets one block, and Isabella is sprinting down the sideline, and he has another touchdown.
Complete to Andy Isabella, touchdown, UMass.
62 yards.
Give him a scene, and he's going to run through it. Andy Isabella, this is just a short wide receiver screen. Nice job by Sadiq Palmer to get up to the third level, and then that's it. There was a crease, and there's nobody around, and you are not going to catch Andy Isabella. And for the second time today, Liberty got Izzied, and he's got 150 plus, and we're early second quarter. Hey, this game might turn into a battle between Andy Isabella and Antonio Gandy Golden.
I'd pay for that.
We're here, baby.
Kyle Horn also in the mix with the block. 4 catches, 164 yards, and 2 touchdowns as Garcia tacks on the extra point. The Minutemen lead 21-14. We are a minute 5 into quarter number 2. Isabella hauled in an 89-yarder to get the scoring started. He's got a 62-yarder here in the second quarter, and UMass up 7. Well, it's been a long receiving line during the commercial break. Everybody lining up to congratulate Andy Isabella. Another long touchdown for the senior from Mayfield, Ohio. Came into the game third in FBS football in yards after the catch. You can see where he is in some other key statistical categories. First in total yardage, and with 163 yards already, a little over a quarter into the game, he's going to pile on that total. Okay, so the quick math, Andy, 452 yards combined for the two teams so far. The UCF Temple combined 1,300-yard game on Thursday night is definitely on notice.
No question. We're on alert as UMass brings down the returner at around the 33-yard line. And it is amazing to watch what happens when you have wide receivers like we have in this one in terms of Andy Isabella and Antonio Gandy Golden. So now it's Gandy Golden's turn. He's got 4 catches for 95 yards and a touchdown. You mentioned Frito Isabella, 4 for 163 and 2 touchdowns. But the impact it has on the defense and how, you know, even right now you could see down to Gandy Golden's side on the left, the safety's cheated down to make sure he doesn't beat him deep.
Gandy Golden blocking for this play. Pass thrown out to Kentori Matthews, senior from Virginia Beach.
There's Jarrell Addo right there, who has been highly productive since coming back. It's his 4th game back, I do believe. He's done a really nice job.
A delay on the ground, and there's been a lot of success for Liberty on the ground. They average 144 yards a game when it comes to rushing the football, and they're up over 70 yards in this game. 1st and 10. Calvert has a man open, and that one got away from him. Looking for Matthews, had him wide open, and I don't know if it was Matthews who made the turn the wrong way or if Buckshot threw it the wrong way.
I want to say Buckshot was a little inaccurate there because, as you mentioned, he was open 12 times in his career. Buckshot Calvert has thrown for 300 or more yards. And with receivers like Antonio Gandy Golden, it's easy to understand why.
Another good run up the middle. Gain of 7 on second down.
And just watching from our vantage point here, the UMass defense, you can see the safety Bryce McAllister playing on the hash on the side towards where Antonio Gandy Golden is lined up. And you can see the UMass defenders are waiting for the call, but Isaiah Rogers rolls up on him, and there is not a safety too far behind, just inside the hash to make sure number 11 doesn't beat him deep.
3rd down and 3, and that's enough to move the chains. 1st down for Hickson.
Now, a little bit on the whole chess game that's going on here right now. So McAllister is sort of slid over to make sure that guy, number 11, doesn't beat him deep. It would have been nice to have him flying up in there to try to help to get that stop on 3rd and short. So big wide receiver taking safeties out of the running game here for this UMass defense.
1st and 10 from the 41. Hickson. Flanagan trying to track him down from behind. And a short gain for Frankie Hickson.
I think at this point for both of these defenses, for UMass and Liberty, you don't mind the whole 25 to 25 yard line. You give up a bunch of yards there. It's just don't give up the big plays and try to keep points off the board as we have a Liberty defender down.
I think it's Hickson who's down.
I'm sorry, I meant a Liberty offensive player, excuse me. Yes, and you were right, it was 23 Hickson.
We've been talking about offense nonstop. You wanted to just mention defense.
Trying to mention right, exactly.
Force it in there.
Trying to break it down and see what these defenses are going to do against these wide receivers. But Frito, you mentioned earlier, Hickson, a junior, came into this game with 545 yards and 6 touchdowns. Now they go to Matthews, the senior, but a little bit like UMass, thin at running back. So they really can't afford to lose too many guys here, can the Flames.
Hickson coming off his best game, 133 yards, 3 touchdowns in the win against Idaho State. 47-yard touchdown run iced that win for the Flames. 48-41. They are coming off a bye week, heading into this game against UMass. Looking again at another catch for AGG.
No safety towards that side of the field. Tyler Hayes had pinched down on the hash mark to be able to help against the run, and as soon as Buckshot Calvert saw it, he threw it right up to AGG.
32 yards, they get the play off before the whistle, and it's broken up. Ooh, Isaiah Rogers turned around and knocked it away before it got to Gandy Golden. Take it back to that catch.
Look where the safety is, number 30, trying to play the run, and there's no one to that side of the field. So Calvert even pump faked it, tried to get the old stop and go. Rogers played it pretty well, but you're throwing it up to a guy 6'4".
2nd down and goal. Just a yard or two for Peyton Pickett. 3rd goal for Liberty.
So now they're going to take Gandy Golden and flip him to the right side because the ball is on the far hash. So you can see Gandy Golden right there. But if you look, there's no one behind him. If Calvert wants to throw it up and let him make a play, he can.
Calvert gets away from pressure and throws it away.
So Calvert was thinking what we were thinking up here. And there's Lee Moses matched up against Antonio Gandy Golden, and that's a really good job right there. Gandy Golden was thinking, all right, throw me the little return or throw it towards the pylon. And Calvert just throws it away. He had nothing going. The early pressure forced the throw.
Alex Probert on to attempt his first field goal of the year, 21 yards away, and it is good. Now 30 for 40 in his Liberty career. And with 10:15 to go in the second quarter, UMass on top of Liberty by 4 here in Amherst. Plenty of points in this one. 21-17 UMass on top after the Probert 21-yard field goal. Marquise Young back to receive the Probert kick.
Holy shit.
That caught the wind. And it'll be a touchback. UMass will bring their offense onto the field. As they do that, we can invite you to tune into 11 Sports 1 week from today for more live college football action. Noon Eastern, BYU will be at Gillette Stadium to take on UMass. 3 Eastern time, Abilene Christian will head to Sam Houston State. And we travel to Big Sky Country at 7 o'clock. And it'll be Southern Utah and Weber State. Catch all the action on 11 Sports.
Sam Houston State in the Southland 5-3. And like a lot of teams right now in FCS who are trying to fight their way into the playoffs.
Dingle takes the pitch. He's got some good speed, and he's driven out of bounds in Liberty territory.
Dingle, the ball carrier, result of the play is good for another Massachusetts.
Yeah, that's the first carry this year for Dingle, and they do it on a play that normally you would run to Andy Isabella, but you can see good job of securing the edge. Dingle taking care of the football there in the end, but boy, when he gets striding, you can see how fast he is.
28-yard run for the sophomore out of Baltimore. Comas will run it. Takes a pretty good lick. Michael Curtis, just for a point of information here, is the number 2 quarterback. Remember, Curtis started earlier this year against Charlotte. Ford, the number 1 this year. Comas would come in and get plenty of snaps.
One thing I like about Ross Comas when he runs, he can make people miss. That's a good spin move for a quarterback.
Keys Young puts his head down. That's a first down carry. They'll move the chains.
Yeah, this offensive line for UMass has done a really nice job here in the first half. And you mentioned that right guard Lucas Coulter out. So they take the left guard Jake Largay, move him to the right side. Mike Girardi, kind of a jack-of-all-trades O-lineman here in UMass for a while. He's in at left guard. And those big boys have done a nice job of setting the pads and creating some running room.
No Andy Isabella at the moment. Comas holds on to it. Comas takes some more contact. Comas was injured in the FIU game. Comas and Ford were both injured in the first quarter of that game. Mark Whipple said, I've seen a lot in football. That's the first time I've ever seen the top 2 quarterbacks on the depth chart get knocked out of the game in the first quarter.
And when you look at Michael Curtis, his ability to run the football too is a factor. So Curtis and Comas are pretty similar to each other, but you're right. 2 quarterbacks going down in the first quarter, and then you're turning to your third who you haven't prepped all week. That's tough.
This is going to be a motion penalty on UMass.
Offense, number 81, moving forward at the snap. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Is that Mike Girardi who's down?
I do believe so, and he punched the turf. And I can tell you this, that normally when an O-lineman is down there punching the turf, they know it ain't good. Now maybe overreacted a little bit or just got rolled up on. But I've talked about, you can see the knee braces there, the UMass medical staff doing a good job of checking him out. But those knee braces, that's a great sign that Girardi's walking off the field. But, you know, back in the olden days, in the 90s when I played, they were just sort of developing that knee brace technology. Now it hugs to your thigh. It sits differently on your calves. They used to strap way down on the lower part of your calves so it could lead you to cramping up. They're a way better design now than they were back then, and that might have saved a big knee injury for Mike Girardi. You can see the lineman right there. You know, it's funny, when I played, it was you wore them in practice, they were optional in the games. I never took them off.
Jalen Larry into the game, take a spot on the offensive line, and now another flag is thrown.
Boy, if that's a false start, that's a late false start call. They're halfway down the field.
False start, offense, number 5, 5-yard penalty, second down.
You got to make that call quicker. You got guys in the route for crying out loud.
Well, we've seen some complaining from the sidelines, from the Liberty sidelines specifically, on the whistle that came after a snap when the official said, well, there's going to be video review.
Right.
Now, this is different, but it is a whistle that seemed to come a little bit later.
Right. Yeah, if you're the head linesman there, I mean, go ahead and just make that call. But when Andy Isabella's 10 yards down the field.
Marquise Young in motion, quarterback draw, Comas. Comas out across the 35. Bring up a third down. It's like about 7 for the Minutemen.
And this is where UMass has an advantage offensively, whereas Stephen Calvert not as quick to get out of the pocket. Whereas when you're thinking, where's Isabella? Oh, they hit us with Brennan Dingle, and then they hit us with Palmer, and then here's Ross Comas for a 7-yard run on second down, and it ends up really hurting you. So for Liberty, you got to balance how much do you want to let Comas run.
Comas out to Isabella, breaks a tackle, and that second effort looks like it's going to be enough for a first down.
Comas pass complete to Andy.
What an effort by Andy Isabella, his 5th reception, and indeed they'll move the chains. First down.
Like, I'm running out of things to say about this guy. This is just a great job of fighting through someone who should have made the tackle. Jeremy Peters, the captain, he's one of the corners in this Liberty defense. He's right there to make the play, and Izzy fights him off.
Comas will run again, little juke move to take it across the 20.
And that's a back-breaking run right there. Liberty had that fitted up nicely, good coverage, and then Comas runs for 7.
Officials are stopping the clock here. Let the play clock reset. Well, just to keep an eye on it, we're watching Comas right now. He's taking a couple of licks here. He's not a guy who's going to slide down. He's going to look for those couple of extra yards. Young makes a move to get close to the first down marker. Going to be about a yard short.
You know, Mark Whipple never goes away from the run game. If they can set the pads and get it going early, they're going to continue to run the football because he knows there's going to be some big play action off of it. So that's not a waste of a play right there. That's something that's going to set something up later on.
A little bit of a miscue, and now a flag comes in. Potential holding. Ray Thomas Ishman continuing to block Ajayi.
Well, and now we got some extracurricular on the backside of this play. So we had another flag thrown.
It looks like the first flag would be holding.
Yes, and then I think given the way the official was talking to someone on the UMass side, this might be a personal foul after the play against a offensive player from UMass. I think he was talking to Zach Simon, number 11. He was involved in that scrummage over there on the backside. So I think you're right. This may end up being a dead ball personal foul on top.
On the play. Holding offense 57. After the play, there was a dead ball foul on the offense also. We will measure to see if the result of the play was the first down before enforcement of penalties.
Boy, there's a lot right there. So 2 penalties, and we got to measure and grab a hot dog and sit and wait this one out. Left tackle Ray Thomas Ishman is a guy who's lost 70 pounds since coming here to UMass, and yeah, that he's just hugging him is really what that is. And then he continued pushing the player. I couldn't tell if that was Jesse Lemonnier who he was blocking. But the one thing about Ray Thomas Ishman, and Frida, we've been doing these games a couple years now, he has had issues with penalties of emotion, and this year he has all but cut those out of his game. This is the first one of those kind of penalties that I can remember from Ray Thomas Ishman.
Well, now the officials coming over to Turner Gill to see how they're going to enforce these penalties. It is short of the first down marker, so it's 3rd down and 1. Seen a few penalties on this drive for UMass, so that's got Mark Whipple's blood pressure up just a bit.
Yep, he should be lighting them up right now.
Number 58, that penalty would be declined. The dead ball foul, unsportsmanlike conduct, number 11 of the offense will be accepted. It would be 4th down. That's number 11's first unsportsmanlike toward disqualification.
So correction, 4th down play after the measurement. So 4th down and 1. That's why they measured. And then they mark off the 15. So it's now going to be a 4th down and 16 for UMass. And here's where that penalty really hurts the Minutemen. As they spotted at the 31-yard line, this would be a 48-yard field goal attempt, 49 yards maybe, but into the wind. So that is completely out of the consideration here for the Minutemen, so they've got to go for it on 4th down and 16.
It's a complete non-starter, and if you're Liberty, find Andy Isabella and hit him off the line of scrimmage.
Comis is going to get hit from behind. Lemonnier comes up with the sack, the 3rd of the half for Liberty.
Timeout.
Well, UMass, a self-inflicted wound right there as Jesse Lemonnier beats Ray Thomas Ishman around the edge. The sack of Ross Comis. We've got a good one here at McGuirk.
Over the
21-17 UMass on a windy day. Gusts expected to be up above 30, pushing 40 miles an hour, and it's impacting some of the infrastructure here.
I mean, look at the net, right? So that net is up protecting the scoreboard. Matt Goldstein kicked here, and Matty, even before the penalties, it might have been tough for Cooper Garcia to be able to kick into that. Look what it's doing to that net.
Yeah, the wind, it swirls so much, especially on that side of the stadium, the way that the wind blows, that you never know that, and you can't, like I said earlier, you can't really judge the flags on the top of the uprights, because at field level, the wind blows completely different at times than what it is on the top of the uprights, and you have to throw something up in the air. You grab a leaf or some trash to kind of get what the wind is like on field level.
Hickson back into the game to carry. Jarrell Otto with the stop after a gain of 2. Thank you, Matt. Calvert outside, complete to DJ Stubbs. Stubbs going to be very close to the 1st down.
I'll tell you the 3 things that affect football the most: heat, elevation, and wind. Because when it's hot, you can't get naked, and no one wants to see that for some of the linemen, right?
That's not what I expect you to go
Okay,
with that,
but for elevation, if it shuts your body down, there's nothing you can do, and you can't control the wind. Mother Nature doesn't lose.
Calvert, little pump. Now he'll throw deep, and it is intercepted. UMass has the game's first takeaway. Now do they give it away? They do! Can you believe that? Touchdown, Liberty. Lee Moses had the interception. And then as he tried to return it, Caleb Coleman picked up the fumble and ran it in for the Liberty touchdown, and the Flames have their first lead of the game.
You know, we've talked so much about getting the ball to Antonio Gandy Golden. This time, Stephen Calvert presses it down the field to Caleb Coleman, and what an interception by Lee Moses. And then the ball just pops out, and then Breitenbar kicks it, and Coleman from behind picks it up and turns it into a touchdown. That is one of the craziest plays you're ever going to see.
The point after makes its way through, and with 4.5 minutes to go here in the 2nd quarter, Liberty on top 24-21. I've got it down as a 22-yard fumble return for a touchdown.
So here's what it looked like in terms of Stephen Calvert pressing the ball down the field. Nice job by Lee Moses, and this is just before contact, where the ball just slips out, and then unfortunately it's kicked by Brighton Barr, and Caleb Coleman picks it up. Johnny on the spot turns it into a touchdown for Liberty. Oh my goodness. I don't think I've ever seen a play like that.
I don't remember
And
something resulting in a touchdown.
Well, yeah, and if Moses had been hit and the ball popped out, that was one thing. It was as if I think he might have been trying to secure the ball before contact, and it slipped out. And, of course, Brighton Barr hustling to try to block for him, ends up kicking the ball. Holy cow, what a turn of events where you've got the interception, and it goes touchdown other way.
Goes into the books as Moses' 3rd interception of the year and the 9th for UMass as a team, but they are a -6 in turnover margin, and that number stays right there because of the takeaway and the giveaway on one play. Well, this will be the big question here as Young will take the touchback. How will UMass respond? That is a shot to the gut right there. You're down for the first time today. You're only down by 3. You've been able to move the football. But how will the Minutemen respond after this play?
And this is just a self-inflicted wound right here where Lee Moses, the only critique is the ball keeps coming away from his body. So if he tucks it close into himself, you saw when he was running how there was space between the body and the ball. If he's holding it closer to his body, it's easier for him to absorb the contact. I think he saw the contact was coming. That thing was getting a little loose, and it slid right out of his hands.
UMass goes to the ground after the fumble return for the touchdown, and Fredericks picks up maybe a yard.
This game is starting to get a little chippy here. Boy, oh boy. You know, the great runners, they tuck that football into their side. It's a part of their body. And that time Lee Moses let that thing get away from the body a little bit. But a heck of a play on the interception.
Comis will pass on 2nd down and 9. Looks for Isabella. Isabella gets a half step, but he can't hold on to it.
Pass is incomplete, intended for Andy Isabella.
Boy, he had it. Great play by Bajor Wilson, who got beat on the touchdown earlier today. And Isabella couldn't haul that one in.
He's limping a little bit.
And by the way, this throw is into the wind and right where it needed to be. And unfortunately through the hands of Andy Isabella, and you see him punching the ground. I don't think it's because he's dinged up and hurt. I think he knew that would have pushed him over 200 yards in the first half, and that's a catchable ball for Izzy.
Well, I will say he does look a little uncomfortable on the sidelines, grabbing at his right leg. Comis has a man wide open. It's a 1st down for UMass. Fredericks out to the 45.
You know, the one thing we don't know with someone like Andy Isabella, Frito, to your point, is what's he playing with and what's he working through. He's such a big part of this UMass offense. They need him out there, and he's played a bunch of snaps this year.
Fredericks has had a productive day. Outside to Zach Simon, and Simon out of bounds after his 10th reception of the season. Had 1 catch against UConn, but it was a pretty good one. 67-yard touchdown reception in the 4th quarter when UMass was down 17-9.
Yeah, you'll take that. And Simon, as you mentioned, the redshirt freshman, combined with freshman Samuel Emilis, the future of this wide receiving core here for Mark Whipple at UMass.
Fredericks, not much happening on the outside, and he is in trouble. Swallowed up at the 45. And Fredericks is hurt.
He is hurt. Boy, this is in some kind of 2nd quarter for both of these teams.
Isabella's taking a couple of steps onto the field while they come to attend to Fredericks. Isabella's definitely got a little limp going right now.
Yeah, you just saw him there, and he kind of grabbed that right knee a little bit, and he's definitely working through something. But, you know, the one thing you and I have come to know is Andy Isabella is going to go out there and try to battle.
So let's see what happened to Fredericks. Juwan Wells, 6'2", 260 there on the outside. He's there, and then comes Tolan Avery, 6'3", 295. There's just a lot of
beef.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot of beef falling on top of him. The one good thing is that when his leg was in the grasp of the defender, there was no twist or anything like that. It looked like it was just more a bunch of bodies falling on top of you.
Mike Girardi is back into the game. Remember, he left the game with an injury, but he's back up front for UMass.
And Andy Isabella back out there on 3rd down. He's lined up to the slot, right on the hash marks, top of the screen.
3rd down and 9. Comis throws underneath. Isabella tried to get inside for the catch. Everybody on the UMass sideline asking for a penalty flag. None coming. 4th down.
But you notice what Ross Comis threw into right there? Double coverage, bracketed coverage, whatever you want to call it. There were 2 Liberty defenders around Andy Isabella. They were not going to let him beat them on that play.
UMass forced to punt. Not a helping wind right now for the Minutemen as George Georgopoulos has to take a half step back to get this one away. Pretty good boot. Fair catch called for, and it's muffed. Ball is free, and it's recovered by Liberty.
Whoa. Close shave right there for Liberty.
DJ Stubbs covered it up.
You know, the other thing about the wind, too, is that it's going to make that ball knuckle a little bit.
It's going to, that last 10 feet.
Oh, yeah.
It'll cause you to hold your breath because you don't know where it's going to go. I mean, the wind really gusting at the moment.
And what a great reach by Stubbs there to get that football once on the ground.
Breeze at the back, 2:31 to go in the quarter. All 3 timeouts remaining for Liberty. And they go to the ground on 1st down. UMass with 1 timeout remaining as Hickson gets a couple. Liberty's going to move with a little bit of pace here. Gandy Golden split wide to the left.
Liberty also with 3 timeouts. And you see Isaiah Rogers, bottom of the screen, roll up on Gandy Golden. Now he backs off.
Back to the ground. So Liberty not interested in something here in the passing game as of yet. UMass, again, had to burn a timeout before their first snap of the 2nd quarter, so that cost them here because they could have used one of those timeouts right here.
And UMass did win the toss, so they have the deferred, so they'll have the choice in the 2nd half. They'll almost certainly take the ball. So for Liberty, they bare minimum need to convert the 1st down to be able to run out the clock.
Closing in on 1:20 to go in the 2nd quarter.
Gandy Golden lined up in the slot. No one directly covering him. UMass is going to drop into some zone.
Colbert will pass on 3rd down and 9, and he'll look for something big for Gandy Golden. Both players go down. That is the freshman Joseph Norwood on the coverage for UMass. That helps out the Minutemen because the clock stops with 1:08 to go. They can hold on to that 1 timeout. They're going to have to get something into the end zone if they're going to score because kicking against this breeze, you can't imagine any kind of field goal attempt.
You know, feet get tangled up right there, but watch this. Does he do a nip up? He did. He's 6'4" with pads on, and he did a nip up. Are you kidding me? That's ridiculous. What athleticism.
Look at this kick. Got caught up in the wind a little bit. Isabella with a late fair catch signal, taken at the 31-yard line. 1 minute to go in the quarter.
All right, so here we go, right? Watch this, ready? Wonk, stupid. That is stupid right there. He's 6'4", 225 pounds. He's got pads on. He just ran down the field. You know where you normally see that? In like a WWE ring or with the gymnasts at the Olympics? That is pretty ridiculous. Anyway, back to the game now that I'm freaking out because he did the old nip up there.
You are quite excited.
You know why? Because could you do one even in your heyday when you were Eric Freed, long distance runner, 25 years old?
I wouldn't even think about trying it though.
I would rip every ab that is in my body trying to do that.
1st and 10 for UMass. What do they try to do here? They go with the shovel pass inside to Marquise Young, and Young stopped about a yard short of the 1st down, but he's not done yet. And now it's going to be Liberty using their timeouts, trying to get it back, trying to make UMass kick into the win. No correction, no timeout taken by Liberty.
I think if they had stopped them for a 1-yard game, they would have done it because I'm sure Liberty's thinking, let's get field position here.
Comis gets the 1st down, and Dingle spins free. Dingle out of bounds at the 43-yard line. 25 seconds to go. One timeout left for the Minutemen.
So what do you got to figure? That the ball's probably got to get down to the 20-yard line and make it a 37, 38-yard field goal. Realistic?
I think even the 10-yard line. And we've heard from Matt a couple times today. You just really can't tell. And he said kicking into this side of the field, this end zone, is even more of a challenge.
Well, I would think at some point if they get close, they're going to move this ball over to the right hash.
Comus looking end zone on this throw, and it is incomplete. 19 seconds to go and a second down play coming up. We invite you to stay with us at halftime. Have a conversation with Matt McCall, the head men's basketball coach here at UMass, as they get ready for their season opener Tuesday against UMass Lowell. Andy's going to break down the first playoff rankings.
That's right.
His thoughts on that. And you'll see a very special reunion involving a UMass student and her parent returning from service overseas. That's coming up at halftime. Emelis on the quick outs. 15 seconds to go. First down.
Now UMass is keeping the timeout here, so I think they can get it to the 20. Ball spotted on the 33. Middle of the field is in play with the timeout in your pocket.
I think Mark Whipple had that look in his eye like he wants to try something big on this play, and Comus sees nothing available down the field. And now he's running for the sidelines and heads out of bounds with 7 seconds to go, stopping the clock. So is that enough time for one look at the end zone? Probably not this far out.
No, and again, I know I'm thinking field goal here, and maybe Mark Whipple isn't. But I got to think timeout. If you can get balls on the 32, if you maybe get to the 25, try field goal, doesn't hurt you in the end. Maybe, I mean, what do you got a better chance at? Getting 7 to 10 yards, calling a timeout, trying a field goal, or getting it in the end zone?
I think they're looking end zone here with 7 seconds to go in the quarter, and now Turner Gill will take a timeout.
As soon as they got Isabella set up on the inside, Turner Gill went right over to the headlines and was like, you know what, I think we better take a timeout here and make sure that number 5 doesn't eat us up. You know, we showed you earlier about the netting that's in front of the scoreboard, and it's not blowing in as hard, but the wind is still definitely a factor, Frito. I mean, again, I can kind of see it both ways. The only reason I'm saying if you can get the ball, say, inside the 20-yard line, and if you can get it on the right hash or the right-footed kicker, that's at least a reasonable opportunity to be able to try to make a field goal here given these conditions. And considering the way Liberty scored their last touchdown, if you can go in tied, you're feeling pretty good about yourself if you're the Minutemen. And notice the ball is now on the right hash. So it's set up for them if they can get something over the middle.
Comus will throw the out, and it is complete, but that's going to be the end of the first half.
Took too long.
Zeros on the clock. That should be the last play of the first half. Now they're going to review the play and see if any time is left on the clock. The ball was caught by Dingle at the 11-yard line.
And Sadiq Palmer, who was lined up right beside Isabella, ran about 5-6 yards and stopped and was like, throw me the ball, and Comus went backside, tried to go to the out route to Emelis.
So we'll run it back for you here. You'll be able to see the game clock and to see if this was a catch. It was Emelis who had the reception. Well, he slid out of bounds with 1 second to go. They're going to put a second on the clock.
I think they're going to, and I need to look at the mechanics of the catch again, because it looked.
There were 2 seconds on the clock after the reception for first down. Timeout, UMass. Their third and final timeout.
There we go. Well, now the hash mark isn't necessarily as important because that ball spotted on the 11-yard line. You know, so this is a very makeable kick for Garcia. I'll be honest with you, I didn't like that play from Comus at first, and it worked out for him big time.
Well, I thought they needed to get around the 10-yard line. They're at the 11-yard line, and even this, kicking into a 20 to 25 mile per hour wind, is going to be a challenge for Cooper Garcia. And now a timeout called by Liberty.
Timeout. Liberty.
Boy, we have had a little bit of everything in this first half.
A lot of everything.
I mean,
a lot of everything.
And a lot of reviews and checks of feet in bounds. And, I mean, we've had, 3 catch reviews, I do believe. Take a look here at the catch by Emelis one more time. I thought the middle of the field was in play. Comas does a good job of getting it to Emelis. There it is. He's down. Yeah, at that point, because he's down, he ends up sliding out. He had completed the catch. And there's a look at the flag, but as you see this in context, you can see how high that flagpole is in the air. And remember, as Matty G talked about down on the sidelines, with the way that McGuirk is shaped, yes, that breeze is blowing big to that side, but what is it actually in the stadium?
Yeah, it's definitely blowing more right to left according to the American flag. The flags on top of the uprights are kind of swirling around like that I mentioned before.
And the goal and the uprights aren't swaying per se.
28-yard field goal attempt for Garcia. Try to drive it through, and it is floating, but it makes it through. Well, a good response by UMass. After the fumble return for a touchdown, they do get points, and they go to the locker room tied at 24.
Yeah, I mean, considering the way Liberty scored that last touchdown, the Minutemen have got to feel pretty good about themselves. There's Cooper Garcia driving this thing through.
And we had to bring our camera down on the lift a bit because of the wind warning, the high wind warning. So we've got a little bit of a lower angle today just out of safety because I don't want to be up on one of those scissor lifts when the wind's blowing like it is today.
No, you do not.
Cooper Garcia comes through with the field goal to tie the game at 24. 667 yards combined for these two teams in the first half.
We're halfway to 1,300.
Here's Mark Whipple with Matt.
Coach, offensively, you've been able to move the ball all half long, led by Andy Isabella. Your analysis of the first half offensively?
Yeah, we got to get some stops. We had a good stop on defense, too, and a crazy play. They got a touchdown out of our kids' battle back, and, we had a nice 2-minute drive there at the end. So we just got to keep fighting. There with too much kind of extracurricular stuff, and got to settle them down and go play.
Defensively, how do you try to slow down Gandy Golden?
Well, we got to double him, some and bracket him. He's a good player. We knew that coming in, so we got to stop the run better. That's the thing that's hurting us. But that kid's a good player. We just got to double him.
All right, thanks, Coach. Back to you guys.
Matt, thanks very much. So Mark Whipple's team tied with Liberty at halftime. 24-24 in the first meeting all time between these two FBS programs. Shootout in the first half. Our halftime report is coming up next on 11 Sports. Liberty trying to close in on 6 wins, 4-3 coming in. 6 wins, of course, makes them bowl eligible. A big accomplishment for this team. UMass needing this win to keep their hopes of being bowl eligible alive. Now they've got a tough schedule ahead with BYU at Gillette and then Georgia down in Athens. But it could happen, and it has to start here today. And we're even as we head to the second half between Liberty and UMass.
And it's not the way you would have thought we would have gotten there in terms of some of the plays that have happened in this football game. And it's really been a showcase of 2 great wide receivers for UMass, Andy Isabella, and for Liberty, Antonio Gandy Golden.
Highlights from the first half where Isabella had a big opening half. 5 catches, 171 yards, and a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, they start with the 89-yard touchdown pass from Ross Comas to Andy Isabella. And then we see Liberty, they end up making a couple of plays and start throwing the ball to their guy, Antonio Gandy Golden. That set up this touchdown working against Lee Moses. That made it 7-7. And, of course, UMass, they get it right back into Andy Isabella's hands once again. This goes for 61 yards on the short screen for Andy Isabella's second touchdown of the game.
Comas, 14 of 18 passing, 283 yards.
And then this play where the quarterback, Buckshot Calvert, tries to get the ball to Caleb Coleman, intercepted by Lee Moses. He drops the ball, and it bounces right into the hands of Caleb Coleman, who ends up with the scoop and score touchdown. UMass would have had a field goal at the end of the first half. It's tied at 24, and big credit to the Minutemen, who really could have been mentally broken after that touchdown, but instead came down, kicked the field goal, and as you see, tied at 24.
Total yards actually 395 for UMass, 272 for Liberty in the first half. So 667 combined yards between the two teams here on a very windy day in Amherst, and Gandy Golden, 5 catches, 127 yards, and that touchdown. Down to Matt.
Thanks, guys. Just talked to Turner Gill, and he said, hey, flat out, UMass played better than us in the first half. We made some good plays offensively, but we need to execute much better on the defensive side of the football. The biggest thing defensively is we have to limit the explosive plays, especially Andy Isabella. Guys, back to you.
Okay, Matt, temperature has come down a little bit over the last half hour or so. We're down into the mid-40s. The wind is still howling out there, so it's going to be quite the battle for the fans, first and foremost, but also for the players to deal with the conditions here in the second half.
Yeah, and Frito, I think it's a great point because, you know, you come up from Lynchburg, Virginia, and you're not used to this. Now that the sun has gone down, what the Liberty kids are going to experience is that raw New England cold. It's under 50 degrees and it's windy outside. It's raw. If you spend your collegiate life here in Amherst, Massachusetts, you are used to this weather. Not so much if you're from Lynchburg, Virginia, and yeah, the old heaters on the sidelines. You notice I'll tell you this, what you'll notice about these heaters on the sidelines is that there's always somebody who is dressed in civilian clothing standing over there. Every time, every sideline, everywhere, you'll always notice that one person that's just kind of loitering around the heater.
I can't hate him for that, though.
Well, I've always had natural insulation, so I don't know what it's like to be cold.
UMass to take the second half kickoff, and it will be a touchback for the Minutemen. Some other superlatives from the first half. When it came to rushing the football, Marquise Young, 5 carries for 46 yards. The leading rusher was Ross Comis, 12 carries. However, he was sacked 3 times.
Kicking team, number 43, 5-yard penalty will be enforced from the touchback spot. 1st and 10.
So 5 yards onto the end of the touchback. 20 yards in penalties now for Liberty. UMass had 30 yards in penalties. You mentioned the Comis performance. I mentioned the numbers, but also was sacked 3 times in that first half.
Well, I know that UMass has tried to do a good job of taking away some of the easy throws to Antonio Gandy Golden, but right now offensively, Ross Comis has had a good day so far, the rushing touchdown as well. You see him moving in the pocket. He needs to pick right up where he left off here in the second half.
Isabella in the backfield on first down. It's Marquise Young who takes the carry and picks up 6.
They're putting Andy Isabella back there for a reason, and we haven't seen it just yet. But something tells me that there's either a swing pass, a screen, or maybe a little wheel route coming from Andy Isabella lined up in the backfield. Mark Whipple ain't putting him back there for funsies. They're setting something up for later in the game.
2nd and 4. Comis with the quick throw, and it's incomplete. Intended for Isabella.
Notice how 2 Flames defenders were right there. One to the inside, one to the outside. So it's going to be time to move Isabella around. And look, it's hard to double him when he's in the backfield. And then you want to motion him out. Those are some of the tricks that Mark Whipple has up his sleeve to be able to try to make sure Andy Isabella doesn't get as much attention.
Isabella has it, and the effort after the catch will move the chains for a UMass first down.
You know, the thing we forget about, too, is that both teams ran the ball very well in this first half. UMass ran it to a clip of 112 yards and Liberty 94 yards. That's nothing to sneeze at running the ball. But we're so focused on these great wide receivers and some of the plays that can be made, it may be that guy number 8 that wins it.
That's the 17th first down for the Minutemen. An interception thrown by Comis. Picked off, flag comes in, picked off by Ajayi. It is turnover number 2 for the Minutemen. It looks like it will stand as Comis throws the pick.
We do have a flag down. And I couldn't tell if it's on Kyle Horn, committed against him, or he committed the penalty.
After change of possessions, holding, interception team, number 13. 10-yard penalty will be enforced from the spot of the foul. First down.
So Isaac Steele with the holding call, and the interception for Ajayi will stand. In his first year with Liberty, the transfer from Bakersfield College comes up with the big play for Liberty, a takeaway. And the Flames will have the offense on the field when we return to McGuirk. After turnover number 2 on the day for UMass, Buckshot Calvert back on the field. He was 10 of 20 passing in the first half, 178 yards and a touchdown. You see his numbers all time, 4 single-season passing records at Liberty. 3-year starter for the Flames. Junior from Plantation, Florida, will hand it off after the turnover. So his given name is Stephen Buckshot Calvert, right, Matt Goldstein?
Correct. Buckshot is his given middle name. His father, Steve Calvert's favorite NASCAR driver growing up was Buckshot Jones. He loved the name because it stood out. He said if he ever had a son, he wanted to name him Buckshot, but his wife, Kim, said no. They settled on using it as his middle name, and at age 8, that's when his father, Steve, started calling him Buckshot at athletic events, and it started to catch on with his coaches, his teammates, and ever since then, he's been going by Buckshot. Back to you guys.
Now Buckshot has helped Liberty move the chains, but now Brevity with the tackle, getting Hickson for a loss. Actually, Calvert was recruited by UMass, and Mark Whipple told us this week they were also in on Andrew Ford at the time and really liked what they saw in Ford, and Ford turned out pretty well coming to UMass.
And plus Ford being a left-hander too, there's a little something, but Calvert, no question, can play the game and has done a really nice job today.
Loss of 4, second down at 14. Brighton Barr is there to shut down Hickson. Andy mentioned the numbers earlier, came in 6th in FBS, averaging better than 12 tackles a game.
Utter ridiculousness in terms of the production for Brighton Barr, and does a nice job of stopping the momentum of the ball carrier immediately. Good shoulder tackle.
Third down at 12. Liberty needs the 29-yard line for a first down.
Gandy Golden at the bottom of the screen, safety in the middle of the field. Now Bryce McAllister cheating over, and you see the rest of the secondary drop.
Good strong throw, but a little bit too strong for DJ Stubbs to grab. Now bring up fourth down.
And that's a nice job and a good call there by Ed Pinkham, who at times brings pressure on third down. This time they roll the safety over, they drop the secondary back on 3rd and 12, and it forces a throw over the middle when Buckshot was incomplete.
Alvis to punt. Isabella back deep for the Minutemen. Fair catch called for by Isabella at the 12-yard line. UMass will bring the offense onto the field here at McGuirk after this. Sure to join us Tuesday for a season-opening basketball doubleheader here at UMass. 4:30 Eastern Time, UMass women taking on Sacred Heart. 7 o'clock Eastern Time, the men take the court in their opener against UMass Lowell. It's right here on 11 Sports. Hopefully you were with us at halftime. I had a conversation with Matt McCall, the men's basketball coach, getting set for his 2nd season here in Amherst. Juan Pipkins coming off a big year. First team preseason all-conference in the A-10.
He was in good spirits, Coach McCall.
Well, he said when he came in, he had a good practice that day. So, you know how these coaches are. Football, basketball, you name the sport. You come off a good practice. The day dinner tastes better, interview goes a little bit better.
Oh, yeah. Yep. Sky's blue. No, it isn't, boys. It's gray. All right, Coach.
Gain of 6 on first down for the Minutemen. 2nd and 4. Pitch to Young. Tries to cut it back, and he'll have another first down. 6-yard carry for Marquise Young. Boy, he has just Been so steady throughout his UMass career as he plays his final game here at McGuirk. 960 yards as a freshman, 898 as a sophomore, 982 as a junior. Big plays in the kicking game as well.
Well, that's the thing, you throw in the kick return yards. He's gone over 1,000 all-purpose yards every year here at UMass.
Fredericks throws it back to Comis. Comis throws deep. He's got a man open. Isabella turns around and has it, and he is brought down inside the 20. Fredericks to Comis to Isabella. Big play, UMass.
And if the ball gets back to Comis clean, this thing is a touchdown by a mile. Ross Comis had so much time, and Andy Isabella had run behind Bajor Wilson so much that he still had time to gather the football, gather himself, and then throw it about as far as he could. Isabella stops and makes the catch. Doesn't get in the end zone, but a heck of a trick play there from Mark Whipple.
58-yard trick play for the Minutemen.
Ain't no shame in a gimmick play, especially one that would have gone for a score. If it had perfect execution and that ball got back to Comis, that would have been 6, but a big field flipping play here for the Minutemen as they're inside the 15.
234 yards receiving for the senior from Ohio. Comis got to get rid of it. 4th sack for Liberty.
It looked like Comis was going to throw the ball to Isabella in the end zone, and Izzy was met with contact by the captain corner, Jeremy Peters, and that leads to the sack. There you go. There's that contact I was talking about right there from Jeremy Peters, who is playing with a cast on his right hand.
Third down and 18. Comis over the top, incomplete. Trying to connect with Sadiq Palmer. And let's see what Mark Whipple decides to do here.
A lot of woofing going on, and that isn't good for Ray Thomas Ishman. Keep him out of that. Don't get those penalties of emotion. And Frito, I don't think it's really much of a question here. I think they're gonna go for it.
43-yarder, and now the wind is helping but quartering a little bit. It's off the side more than it is at the back here for Garcia.
And plus, even if it were perfect conditions, I don't know if Mark Whipple would be trusting a kicker to try to knock one through.
So they will go for it. 4th down and 18. They need to get inside the 8-yard line for a first down, and now a timeout called by Whipple.
Timeout. UMass, their first charge. Timeout of the second half. 30-second timeout.
Yeah, even though it's a big conversion, 4th and 18 here with the ball on the 25, I mean, you could try to coffin kick it and get it down inside the 5, and if you don't execute, it's coming right back out to where it is anyway. So, I mean, just go for it and try to run a play and see if somebody can make something happen here. And there's Andy Isabella, is 234 yards receiving on 7 catches. And he may be working a bit of a knee injury or a knee ding here, but I think you try to find a way to put it in his hands and let him see how many people he can make miss.
Fourth down and 18.
School record by Victor Cruz, 262 receiving yards.
It's interesting because the name Victor Cruz came up this week in our conversation with Mark Whipple when you asked about Andy Isabella's NFL hopes.
Yep, there are teams looking at number 5.
Comis will throw it towards the end zone, and it is incomplete. He's trying to find Johnson, the tight end. And now Liberty will take over at their own 25-yard line when we come back to McGuirk Alumni Stadium, tied at 24. Yeah, it's been an interesting game. We've seen a little bit of everything, including one of the assistant coaches who looks like he's either ready to work on a paving crew or go for a training run. The coordinators are up in the booth for Liberty. So on defense, Robert Wimberly, the defensive coordinators up in the booth. So someone else is signaling in the plays on the defensive side, and you got to make sure you're seen on the sidelines.
Yeah, I think that's Aaron Wilkins, who is the coach of the Spurs and the Nickels within this Liberty defense, which means he's one of those communicators to the guys on the back end and making sure that since the Spur is essentially their fancy name for a linebacker, corner, safety type hybrid, and you rotate those guys in and out.
But as far as the look, I mean, I don't recall seeing that before. And then also today we had the interception that led to the fumble that went in for a touchdown. You pointed out the field goal backdrop net blowing towards the goalpost with the 20 to 30 mile per hour winds we've been dealing with here today.
Yeah, I think if that coach looks like he's going to check, see if there's any kids under the school bus before it pulls away after a stop.
Gain of just a couple for Frank Boyd, the redshirt freshman from Chesterfield, Virginia, who's getting the call here on this series for Liberty. They've used Frank Hickson and Peyton Pickett. We haven't seen too much Kentori Matthews. We saw him early in the passing game, but not in the running game. He came into the season as their #1 back.
You know, and I know we've been focusing on the wide receivers on the outside, but so far this third quarter, it's like the life has been sucked out of this game. There's just no momentum where everybody had it before.
Calvert trying to find a spark and a fight for the ball on the sideline. It's broken up by Lee Moses. Incomplete, 3rd down and 10 play coming up. You know Lee Moses wants to make a play in this game. He had the interception. He had the big return, coughed up the football without getting hit. So you know Moses, especially the senior here on senior day, wanting to make a play here for UMass. 3rd and 10.
These corners are about to get tested here. So they changed protection.
They set up the screen, and it's going to work out. Big play for Liberty. 1st down.
Pass complete to Antonio Gandy.
They get it to Gandy Golden there, who was lined up in the slot, and it looked like that was a check. They go running run the running back the other way. Brighton Barr blitzed up the middle, so there was no help and no flow from the inside of the UMass defense to try to help bring down number 11. Real good play call right there by Joe Daly. That was a great check.
UMass is going to have to gang tackle here because Liberty's been getting some yardage. Peyton Pickett swarmed.
Mario Patton on the tackle.
Well, Jake Bisco, Joe Previty, those guys did a great job of penetrating on that play. And there's Mario Patton right there, number 96. He did not play last week against UConn. 6'1", 310 pounds of beef right in the middle, lining up over the center. That's always going to help you stop the run.
Gandy Golden has been quiet for a while here for Liberty. Let's see if they try to find him here on 2nd down and 10. Calvert looking deep. Rogers runs under it and has the interception for the Minutemen. He's got a little room to bring it out too. Isaiah Rogers to the 20. Isaiah Rogers across the 30. Isaiah Rogers to the 35 for UMass.
And now this stadium has come alive off of the big play from Isaiah Rogers. UMass needed that, and because the momentum carried him into the end zone, he had to bring that thing out, and that's where Isaiah Rogers taps into his return abilities. We've seen him return kicks. That's essentially a kick return right there. So Calvert pressing it down the field, and look at the speed from Isaiah Rogers to run and hawk that ball down, and then here you go. He turns into a returner, waits for his defensive guys to set it up. He gets around Gandy Golden and out to around the 35-yard line. And you heard the reaction here in McGuirk Stadium. This place was flat, and they are now woke, all because of Isaiah Rogers and the pick and bring it back out to the 35.
Second interception of the season for the junior from Tampa. Had a 55-yard pick 6 at Ohio. UMass on the ground on first down, not much happening.
Well, this is good if you're Mark Whipple. And here's the only reason why I say that, Frito, is that let him load up against the run. Let him load up against the run. Because number 5, that frees him up at some point, and then bang, you hit him with play action, and the next thing you know, he's running down the field. So if Liberty and their defensive coordinator, Robert Wimberly, are going to start to load up to try to slow down Marquise Young, it's only going to free up a wide receiver on the outside.
Play action. Comis throws. He's got his man. Who else? Andy Isabella has set a new single-game receiving record here at UMass, breaking Victor Cruz's mark.
They pair up Andy Isabella and Brennan Dingle to the right side of the formation. There are 3 Liberty defenders who are running with both of those guys. The problem is 2 of them go across the field with Brennan Dingle, and Comis comes back and gets Izzy one-on-one against the corner. Jeremy Peters, the captain of this Liberty defense.
48 yards for Isabella.
They ran with the wrong guy.
282 yards on the day as Young goes straight up the middle. As I mentioned, Isabella passing Victor Cruz for number 1. Single game receiving yards. And with inside of 4 minutes going to third quarter,
he'll get.
We're on 300 watch.
Yeah,
easily.
If he doesn't get 350, I'd be shocked.
Young hit at the line. Third down play coming up for UMass.
And I noticed that Andy Isabella has been coming in and out of the game. And Frito, you caught something in the first half of Isabella grabbing that right knee, and it looks like they're being judicious with his usage here, at least through most of this third quarter, which is interesting because when he's on the field, it seems like a couple plays and he's open and they get it to him and he just tacks on more yards.
Fredericks and Young in the backfield, 3rd down and 4. Comis off the hand of Fredericks. Comis was under pressure right away.
And
now
we're going to get a late. I think we're going to get a late hit. Roughing the passer.
First down, UMass.
Personal foul. Roughing the passer. Defense, number 2. Forceful contact to the passer's head. Half the distance to the goal. Automatic first down.
Jeremy Peters. Costly penalty. Would have been a 4th down for UMass. Instead, it's 1st and goal for the Minutemen.
You can see that big cast on his right wrist. Looks like he's got a maybe a broken thumb right there. Can't tell if it's the wrist or the thumb, but even if you inadvertently crank the quarterback on the bean, you're going to get the call. Can't touch the QB's head.
PA, the fullback, in front of Marquise Young. The give is to Young. Young leans forward for the touchdown. The senior is in the end zone, and UMass has 30 on the board.
Big penalty by Jeremy Peters, and UMass makes him pay. They bring in the fullback, and then it's just right off the left side. I mean, this is big boy football right here. Line up, I'm going to push you around. And number 8, Marquise Young, does the rest, getting into the end zone and adding to those career. It's over 3,400 yards rushing here at UMass. Throw another touchdown on the board as well.
5th touchdown of the season for Marquise Young. Coming off the big game against UConn. Cooper Garcia to attempt the point after. See how the wind gave that a shove to the right after it went through the uprights. So Young has the touchdown, but the offensive star yet again for the Minutemen is Andy Isabella.
He came in the leader in terms of receiving yards in FBS football, and he is not disappointed here today. That was the 89-yard touchdown that got UMass on the board. This one went for 62, I do believe, on the screen, and you ain't catching that guy when he gets that far out in front of you. Does a good job right here. Watch him fight through the contact. Boy, that's what the pro scouts have got to love about Andy Isabella, is that battle level. And then here comes the hocus pocus play and gets back to Ross Comas, who's got to uncork it as far as he can. There wouldn't be very many people who'd be able to throw that ball out in front of Andy Isabella. And then the record breaker where he passes Victor Cruz. He's hovering around 275 yards and rolling, and he hasn't played every play in the third quarter.
The Cruz record was 262, set against James Madison 10 years ago. Isabella now at 282. Garcia's kick is taken at the 8-yard line. And returning it out to the 20 is Landon Brown.
Well, we mentioned earlier, how will UMass respond off of the Lee Moses interception that was fumbled and then picked up by Caleb Coleman, taken in for a touchdown. We know UMass ended up kicking the field goal. After the Jeremy Peters penalty, UMass punches it into the end zone, and now what kind of pushback will the Flames offer here late third quarter?
Mike Ruane with the stop on special teams inside the 20-yard line, and a good run on first down again for Liberty.
Oh, that's a good start right there. And it looks like Bryce McAllister may be down.
Frank Boyd with the carry.
They pull the guard around, Boyd right up the middle.
It was McAllister at the hit with the right shoulder.
Yeah, and I think what happened was he sort of hit him from the side with the shoulder, and the heads may have inadvertently collided a little bit. And it doesn't look like McAllister is really grabbing at anything other than maybe getting knocked around a little bit.
Well, each team with 2 turnovers, Andy. Each team with 7 points off those 2 turnovers. Takeaway game has been key for Liberty. Their 12 takeaways coming into this game were all in their 4 wins. No takeaways in their 3 losses. Even right now in turnover margin, UMass just cashing in the Isaiah Rogers interception, leading to the Marquise Young touchdown. Now to Matthews, who's back into the game, and not much happening there. Good coverage by UMass. Lee Moses been flying around.
You know, and you can hear our 11 Sports microphones catching the wind, because the wind is now started to gust. This time it's at the back of Liberty, gusting towards the scoreboard. The wind is really whipping around now here as nightfall sets in at McGuirk.
Boyd brought down. Good job against the run by UMass, and again it's Lee Moses. Maybe it's not one big play he's looking for, maybe it's just a bunch of plays.
Be steady the rest of the game, and that's how you can make up for it and help your football team get a win. I'm with you. Moses is going to flip over to the other side, bottom of the screen, matched up against Antonio Gandy Golden, turning around looking to see what the coverage is, and it looked like Tyler Hayes right there on the hash is communicating now to Moses as to what's going on.
Calvert looking Gandy Golden's way, and he'll throw incomplete. Lots of pressure coming on that play. Flanagan leading the charge. Bisco and Previty there as well. Good work by the defensive line for UMass.
Yeah, really nice job on that play by Lee Moses, who rode Antonio Gandy Golden. You see how Calvert's looking, and there it is. He's forced out of the pocket because of the pressure, because of the job Lee Moses does. And as Moses forces him out of bounds, that's the time when Calvert knew, okay, I'm done. I got to get rid of this thing.
Kick into the gusting wind, and it rolls right back into play. It looked for sure like it was heading out of bounds. Instead, it's just going to keep rolling. And as Andy mentioned, the wind just flipped here in the stadium.
I think the wind was behind that punt.
It was flipped around on that play. It's just been something we've been following since the start, as this gusting wind helping out Alvis on that play as that ball finally ended up inside the 10-yard line.
Look at that thing. Now that's towards the sign where our Matt Goldstein is and where UMass has built their football facility. And there's the end of the punt here. So Andy Isabella is just like, get away, get away, get away. And it took a big hop.
It looked for sure like it was heading out of bounds, and it just kind of rolled in and rolled to a stop.
So now UMass moving into the wind here, backed up in their own end.
Goes into the books as a 61-yard punt for Alvis. Fredericks, who left with an injury earlier, seems to be okay as he's brought down at the 10-yard line.
Well, now for UMass, the clock is your friend here towards the end of the third quarter. Find a way to gain a couple more yards, maybe with another running play, and then you flip it around and you got the wind at your back and the world is your oyster. Ross Comas, I think, he played pretty good game today so far, but he needs a big fourth quarter and continuing to distribute the ball the way he has.
17 of 25, 394 yards for Comas. Fredericks stopped at the line of scrimmage, maybe got a half yard, and that should be the final play of the third quarter. After 48 combined points in the first half, just one score in the third quarter. The Marquise Young 4-yard touchdown run with 3 minutes to go in the quarter, set up by another big play by Andy Isabella, averaging 35 yards of reception today. A new single-game receiving record at UMass. They're up by 7 heading to the fourth. Join us next Saturday for college football on our digital channel on twitch.tv. 2 o'clock Eastern time, James Madison hosts Andy Gresh's URI Rams in Colonial action. All the action on our digital channel 11 next. We start the fourth quarter here in Amherst. 31-24, UMass with the lead and the ball deep in their own territory and facing a 3rd down and 6 play. To start the quarter, Ross Comas closing in on 400 yards. He has a new career high for a game in his UMass career. Comas looking for something big again, and it's broken up. Jeremy Peters comes up with the defensive play, and UMass will have to punt.
Making a play like a captain right there. Lined up to that side with Andy Isabella. Isabella runs the under. Comas took the option of the go route, and a great play by Peters to knock that down here to start the fourth quarter.
George Georgopoulos from his own end zone.
Well, and from the UMass end, he needs to uncork one here with some wind at his back.
Averaging 40 yards a punt this season. The freshman gets off a wobbly kick. It's going to bounce straight up, does not get a good bounce as it's covered up by Bo for UMass, and Liberty will start off in UMass territory when we come back at the 45-yard line. 7-point game in the fourth.
45-yard line.
Well, it looked like UMass could not stop Antonio Gandy Golden in the first half, but he only has 1 catch in the second half. What is different as Liberty goes on offense here in UMass territory? And a big run. Norwood ties up Frank Boyd, who has the carry. Well, if you're going to get big run plays like that, you don't need your playmaker at the receiving position. UMass better find him, though, because he's wide open on the left side of the field, uncovered at the moment.
Yeah, I think some of it is circumstances, and there's an incompletion right there as Calvert tried to get it to DJ Stubbs. I think some of it is circumstantial. Some of it is, being physical against him and trying to force him to the outside. There's Lee Moses riding him right there. You see Calvert's got to throw it away in a red zone opportunity. So you got to mix it up a little bit, but this is the one that I love. Lee Moses got his hands on him early, pushed him out of bounds. A little bit of pressure from Calvert really turned into a coverage stack because that was option 1, was Gandy Golden.
Calvert turned around. I think he wanted to get to DJ Stubbs, and now a flag comes in And this looks like it's going to go against UMass and give 15 yards and a first down to Liberty.
Yep.
Unless it's...
No, Mario Patton hit the quarterback, and the Liberty sideline and players erupted, and both officials dropped the flags, but now there is a huddle. I thought it was pretty simple that it's going to be roughing the passer.
But it is there grounding here as well.
There was no foul for intentional grounding. Eligible receiver number 5 was in the area. Personal foul, roughing the passer, defense number 96, 15-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Yeah, when Mario Patton, watch this at the end here. So ball's out.
No question.
Yep.
Easy.
Pretty easy one. I mean, if he pulled up and he like hugged him and it was like, hey, I'm trying to slow down, it would have been okay. As soon as he went to the ground, that was going to get called.
So the ball is spotted at the 14-yard line. First down and 10 for the Flames, who have not scored since 4.5 minutes to go in the second quarter on that crazy play where Lee Moses had the interception, fumbled on the return, and it was picked up by Coleman, who took it 21 yards for the touchdown. Calvert throwing, looking AGG's way, and he goes up and pulls it down. That's what worked so well in the first half. They go to it here in the fourth quarter, and they're an extra point away from tying it up.
I thought when UMass backed off on the coverage, it was going to keep them from throwing the ball 11's way, but instead it turned into a pump fake and then just a jump ball situation. And that's the hard part of trying to cover Antonio Gandy Golden, is that you can throw it up to him, let him high point a football and make a play. And that's what happens right there on the throw from Buckshot Calvert.
The extra point is through, and we are tied again here at McGuirk.
You know, when you have the ability to line up Antonio Gandy Golden as far away from the quarterback as you do and down on the bottom part of the formation, you can see that everybody sort of bit on that pump fake. But look, if Isaiah Rodgers has the ability to jump up and knock away that football, that's the only thing that needs to happen. A big, exaggerated fake there, like they were going to throw the screen to DJ Stubbs. They just flip it up and let a guy make a play.
14-yard touchdown from Calvert. That is his second touchdown pass of the day. Gandy Golden had those 5 catches in the second half. We were just asking, where was he? Had they forgotten about their playmaker in the offense?
Circumstance. They get in the red zone, coming off a penalty, and there you go. You throw it up to him. By the way, this is Antonio Gandy Golden's 28th game, and with the 2 touchdowns today, that's 22 career touchdowns in just 28 games. That's some production.
Marquise Young will have a chance for a return from the 8-yard line. And Liberty is there to bring him down before he gets out to the 20. They'll give him the 17-yard line. It's been a receiver showdown. Isabella coming in, leading FBS football in total yards receiving, and Gandy Golden, 7 catches now, 160 yards.
And this was the first one where they reviewed. He made just a spectacular catch. And then they go right back to him against Isaiah Rodgers. He almost tiptoes his way into the end zone. And then once again, to get the first score on the board, they go to Antonio Gandy Golden. And then there's your pump fake right there. Throw it up to him here just a moment ago. And let him go catch it over Isaiah Rodgers to tie this game.
Comas fakes it. Throws it to Isabella. Another catch for Andy Isabella. Gandy Golden and Isabella have combined for 16 catches and 400 and quick math, which is never a good thing, 63 yards. Wow. Now Isabella on the ground, but nothing doing on this play.
Yeah, Liberty had that sniffed out. You know, if the NCAA actually still made their college football game, I'd take those 2 guys in a game like that. One big guy who could go catch it, another one with straight line speed like Andy Isabella.
It's got a video game feel. Isabella with that last reception now over 300 yards receiving today, continuing to add to his UMass single game record.
It's just ridiculous. He's lined up on the hash mark at the top of the screen.
Comas looking his way right from the start, but in trouble, and down he goes. Tolan Avery was the first one there. 5 sacks for Liberty today.
And I think that if the protection had been good, they would have had Andy Isabella on an out and up with no safety help, and we would have been talking about him hitting 375 in terms of yards, because I think Isabella was working his way for a touchdown. The problem is the pocket collapsed on Ross Comas, and he couldn't wiggle out.
UMass needs the 48-yard line for a first down. Comas sacked again. Ajayi stood him up. And a flag is thrown here. Is that flag going to be on Liberty or on Largay trying to protect Comas?
I think it's going to be on the UMass player who threw the Liberty player that they're attending to right there on the ground.
Largay very animated.
15-yard penalty. Be 4th down.
It is a penalty on Largay, so it'll push them back 15 yards and bring up a 4th down.
You know, I mentioned it in the first half. Mark Whipple mentioned it with Matt Goldstein walking in at halftime. It's getting chippy. Look at 79 in. There it is right there.
George Georgiopoulos on a punting formation.
And is he? Yeah, he took a knee to the thigh right there, it looked like. And, you know, Andy Isabella isn't exactly wearing the kind of thigh pads offensive linemen do. You want to remain sleek, not a lot of protection there.
As we've tried to watch him today, it looks like he's been grabbing at his right leg when he's left the field a couple times. Georgiopoulos gets it away. Again, this one will roll back, and great field position again for Liberty inside the 50-yard line. The 41. Now back to the 42. 12:02 to go in the 4th quarter. Liberty with a chance to go back in front. Great field position here on homecoming. Follow 11 Sports Daily on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and more at 11 Sports USA. You can find out what events are coming up and what is streaming live on different social media sites. Follow 11 Sports USA now. This is a key moment in the game for sure. UMass losing its poise a little bit. They had a sequence of back-to-back sacks. 15-yard penalty pushed them back on the late hit. And now Liberty with a little hop in their step in a tie game, 31-all. And Calvert finds his man again down inside the 10 to Antonio Gandy Golden.
And they're going to try to hurry up and not allow UMass to substitute, because they either got a slant or they're going to flip this up to Gandy Golden here maybe.
They go on the ground, and the freshman runs it into the end zone. Frank Boyd has been a workhorse in the second half, and Liberty wastes no time going back in front.
And as soon as Bryce McAllister, the safety, started to slide over to help on the coverage on Gandy Golden, Stephen Calvert hands it off under the zone read. And as you mentioned, it's Frank Boyd who gets into the end zone, who does not look very thick. Ooh, wait a minute. I thought that it looked like upon that first hit that his knee may have touched the ground.
And the replay officials will look at it.
Yeah, that was close.
The previous play is under review.
It was Bryce McAllister who slid over to help on the coverage on Gandy Golden. I do believe he's the one who came up and made that hit on Frank Boyd. So check out the right knee here. Oh, he's down. Yep, he is down in between the 1 and 2 yard line. So a good hit by Bryce McAllister, and it brought Frank Boyd to at least one knee. And upon review, this will not be a touchdown. Another big hit right there by McAllister.
You saw McAllister take a hit earlier in the game. And they will spot the football.
After review, the one that was down at the 1 yard line, it'll be 2nd and goal from the 1.
So no touchdown, take the points off the board, 31 all. And that review gives Boyd a chance to catch his breath and get back onto the field.
Now, the one thing this does do for Lee Moses, who's lined up against Antonio Gandy Golden down at the bottom of the screen, is that he's got the back end line. So there's only so far that Antonio Gandy Golden can go, as UMass is going to call a timeout here.
Mark Whipple sprinted down to the 5-yard line to get the timeout.
So that's the thing about defending these wide receivers, and this is where covering an Antonio Gandy Golden gets a little easier, but against a guy like an Andy Isabella, it would be more difficult because Isabella has the ability in short space to be able to run like a return route and make someone miss, whereas someone like Antonio Gandy Golden, he's a size guy. So you're either just going to throw it up to him and let him try to high point a football and make the play, or he's either going to get maybe ridden out of bounds or there's going to be a lot of contact at the line of scrimmage. So something tells me that 11 may end up being more of a decoy here. Of course, they send him all the way out to the other side of the field to make it very tough on this UMass defense.
That's Lee Moses there in coverage. Tightly bunched together up front here for Liberty, as Calvert will give it to Boyd, and Boyd is into the end zone this time for a touchdown. So they take the 6-yard touchdown off the board, but replace it with a 1-yard touchdown run, and Liberty leads by 6.
Well, they're working behind an offensive line that's got not only a lot of beef, but also a lot of experience just caving in the right side as the Flames offensive line. You got right tackle Ethan Crawford with 11 starts and Duff with 21. Guys who know what they're doing.
Probert puts it through. 11:22 to go in the 4th quarter. The Gandy Golden touchdown came with 14:15 to go in the quarter, and now Boyd less than 3 minutes later. And a player is down for UMass as you take a look at the touchdown again by Frank Boyd.
Yeah, I think it's Isaiah Rogers who is down.
Well, there have been some hard hits. Yes, good call. Hard hits. There's been some testiness. Mark Whipple addressed it when he left the field, talking to Matt Goldstein at the end of the first half. And Isaiah Rogers clutching that right knee.
That isn't good. He isn't moving.
As they work on Isaiah Rogers, will take the timeout and be back to McGuirk in a moment. Back here in McGuirk, a live look. Isaiah Rogers being helped off. Marquise Young watching his teammate, putting no weight on that right leg.
Isaiah Rogers on the field goal team is the guy that normally comes screaming off the edge, right side of your screen. You're going to see him come flying in to block the football. And it looked like, because I know I don't know if so much if it was he got tripped, but he was leaning so hard to block the football that it looked like the stride of his right leg got out a little too far, and sometimes you can have a misstep and come down on your knee and just slide on the turf right there. But it was a non-contact injury, and Rogers getting hurt, and they are taking him right to the locker room. And he has put no weight on that at all.
Junior with an interception today that led to a UMass touchdown. Let's see what the Minutemen are able to do. We saw Dante Lindsay get into the game earlier. And depth being tested in the secondary. First down at 10 for UMass. Comas has a lot of time here, and Isabella had half a step, but they just could not connect.
Oh boy. Izzy was wide open there.
Yeah, half step for Isabella turns into 2 steps pretty quickly.
No question. No question about it. Especially when you give him the old put the football out in front of him and let him chase it down. Ross Comas 415 yards passing today, and they're going to need more to win this one for the Minutemen.
Comas had a lot of time on that last pass. Let's see if Liberty brings pressure here on 2nd down and 10. They do, and Marquise Young fumbles the football. Scooped up. Ajayi brings it inside the 5.
Boy, these last couple of offensive possessions for UMass. I mean, that's a killer right there. Marquise Young spitting up the football, but a great play by Solomon Ajayi to scoop that thing up and almost get into the end zone. Peya is in the fullback.
Looks like it was the safety Isaac Steele who came up to force the fumble.
Yep, and Steele didn't hit him at a point to where I didn't think it was going to pop the football out, but nevertheless, the pill plopped on the ground, and now this UMass defense needs a Herculean stand.
Back to Boyd, and Boyd leans forward and is in for a touchdown. 3 UMass turnovers leading to 13 points so far with the extra point upcoming.
And the last 2 touchdowns they gave up were rushing. Had very little, if anything, to do with wide receiver Antonio Gandy Golden. Still a lot of time left. And this Liberty defense on average gives up 487 yards per game and 35 points a game.
Point after is good. 3 touchdowns this quarter already for Liberty. Calvert, the 14-yard touchdown to Gandy Golden, and Boyd, a pair of touchdown runs. This one a 4-yarder, and it comes 21 seconds after his 1-yard touchdown.
Yeah, and Brighton Bar tried to hold the door closed, but nothing doing. As you mentioned, Frito Boyd getting back into the end zone one more time, and that is crushing for UMass at this point. However, not all is lost. 11 minutes is a lot of time. I know they only have 1 timeout left. You know, you put a touchdown on the board, you get a stop, you get the ball back, and you're pretty much where you were at points in the 3rd quarter in this game. The real question here is, can UMass mentally overcome the mistakes that were made to be mentally tough enough to win this game?
Alex Probert on the kickoff for Liberty.
So Marquise Young is back to handle the kick return. See if Probert gives him a chance. He will not. 21 unanswered points for Liberty. They have been an outstanding November team under Turner Gill. 16-5 in the month of November under their 7th year head coach, and he was thrilled that they were 4-3, playing meaningful November games, something to play for in November in your first year as an FBS program.
You know, it's tough to get a bowl bid when you're making the transition because, you know, the bowls are really based on putting fannies in the seats. And if Liberty is bowl eligible and they can convince someone that they can bring a bunch of people, then it may be an opportunity. It's sort of the situation that UMass was in at the beginning of the year.
Comas fumbled, picked it up.
Look at the
second
fight.
effort will be enough for a first down.
What a fight there by Ross Comas.
Hey, remember, UMass fell behind UConn. They were down 17-6. Not much was happening. Comas led that comeback. They had the long touchdown pass to Simon. He helped push Marquise Young into the end zone to give UMass the win over UConn. Comas will not go down without a fight. Passes complete to Horn. The tight end turned back and lost a couple of yards. It's going to be a gain of 9.
Here's the play by Comas. This was right after he had fumbled the football. Notice how he keeps it tucked tight to his body and those legs moving. He got 4 extra yards just by extra effort.
Young's got a first down into Liberty territory.
Boy, here's what you like to see right there. Not only Marquise Young getting rolling, but That is a great run for a first down where there was big push by the UMass offensive line. Nothing can turn around your offense quicker than your 5 big boys up front saying, run it behind us, we'll do the rest.
Comas skips that pass. Comas over 400 yards passing today. Isabella with 303 of those yards.
And he just came off the field, and it looked like he was running off the field a little gingerly as they now line up Kyle Horn wide.
Shovel pass on the inside. I don't know if Young grabbed it. They'll say incomplete pass, that he did not. But it was a forward pass, so
yeah.
3rd and 10 coming up.
Also a dangerous pass, too. You flip that in the middle like that with a couple of defensive linemen there, and they could end up with the ball. So now 3rd and 10, the situation you do not want to be in. We'll see how many they get first before we start to think about what they could do on 4th down. But I'm thinking from a play calling standpoint, this is probably 2-down territory. If you can get 7 here, you'd take it.
Zach Simon in motion, and it'll be a 3rd down and 15. Coleman with the movement.
Self-inflicted wounds.
Offense, number 59, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
64 yards in penalties for UMass here today.
That's a killer right there. And Larnell Coleman, the redshirt freshman right tackle who won the job and overall has had a pretty good year for a youngster. And you can see the defeated look on the face of Mark Whipple. I mean, what do you do? I mean, that's the thing. I'd be like, Coach, why does that happen? Well, I can't tell you why a guy jumped off sides during motion.
UMass 4 for 10 on 3rd down. This is a 3rd and long, 3rd and 15. It is 2-down territory. They'll get some of it back here. It'll set up a 4th down and 6 for the Minutemen. And certainly they'll keep the offense on the field.
If you're Liberty, you need to be on alert for Ross Comas's legs here.
Flags are down on the play as Comas throws it incomplete. There was movement, I think, before the snap. I'm wondering if this play will actually count. Let's see what Tracy Jones says.
Substitution infraction. Defense, 12th man running off at the snap. 5-yard penalty resulting in a 1st down.
So they went fast and got a cheapo 1st down.
Is under review.
He said 1st down. It was a 4th and 6 play.
I agree with you in that I thought it would have made it 4th and 1. But they also said the previous play is under review. I know there was some extracurricular after the play, so I don't know if that's what they're taking a look at. There is a flag that's being picked up right near where our referee Tracy Jones is talking to the folks up here in the booth.
Well, Tracy's ears aren't cold. He's had those headphones on all game long here on a very cold, windy night in the Pioneer Valley.
And this is probably a year's worth of replays wrapped up into one night. I know we have not had a game this year where we've had this many replays in a game.
This is our 5th UMass game. I think if you added up the replay reviews in the first 4 games, we may even up what's happened in this game here today.
Maybe. You're right.
So Turner Gill's team had nothing going in the 3rd quarter after they put 24 points on the board.
Well, it was marked 4th and 5. And this is the 3rd down play right here. So I wonder if they're checking the spot of the 3rd down play for the enforcement of the penalty.
They could be also checking, and that's what we've just been told. They're checking to see if there are too many men in the field. You couldn't tell it from that angle.
Yeah.
But that's the call on the field, that there's too many men. But is it a 1st down? I thought it was 4th and 6.
The review, the penalty of 12 men on the field. The 12th man running off stands. enforcement will result in the first down.
All right, well, they would have checked that on review.
Okay.
So we got the first down. UMass got what they needed. It slows down their offensive momentum. But, I mean, on this first down play, I'd just line up 5 and tell them beat somebody and take a shot deep. And you can see Isabella is clearly limping on his way out to the bottom of your screen.
Comas looking his way as they try to set up the receiver screen, and the pass is incomplete.
Yeah, I don't think that's the worst incompletion in the world right there. I know it short-hopped him a little bit. You didn't get to execute the play. However, I don't think it would have gone for much. If anything, it might have been just a struggle to get back to the line of scrimmage.
Second and 10 from the 36-yard line. Comas throws underneath to Young. And Young has got about 7 with the forward progress. Comas may have had another option deep down the field.
Boy, Comas had the tight end, Kyle Horn, open right down the middle of the field and just missed him on what would have been a big gain right there.
Comas will keep it, try to get the first down. He slips down short of the first down marker, so a 4th down and 2 play coming up. Officials stop the clock with 8:32 to go. A player for Liberty lost his helmet, so he has to come off the field. It's Brandon Tillman, weak side linebacker. So Tillman comes off. And a 4th down play coming up for the Minutemen, 4th down and 2.
Well, and the clock is becoming the enemy here with 8:25 and rolling. So if you're UMass and you get this first down, you got to get to work and get to work quick.
Comas throwing for Isabella. He's got it for a first down. Andy Isabella keeps this drive going for UMass.
Well, I think we got a hold here, Frito.
Flag on the play.
10-yard penalty.
Boy.
4th down.
Ray Thomas Ishman, they said 57. That's the left tackle who's been involved in a little bit of the chippiness today, which is really among the first time we've seen him involved in that this year, at least that I can remember. It's been a problem for him in the past. And, I mean, you fumble, you got penalties.
74 yards and penalties for UMass. They came in averaging 48 a game.
Left side of your screen, take a look at tough to tell right there. But nevertheless, it's 4th and 12.
A lot of time for Comas. And he finds a man. I think it's Sadiq Palmer with his first catch of the afternoon, and Palmer looking for more. And getting more down to the 11-yard line.
I mean, that is a heck of a throw from Ross Comas out of the pocket. And boy, did he get croaked by Jesse Lemonnier. Watch the left side of your screen, or right side of your screen, excuse me. Not only is Lemonnier being held by Ray Thomas Ishman once again, but he gets the big hit on Comas, but Comas gets it to Palmer for the first.
UMass converts the 4th down and long. Now they throw it to Marquise Young, who takes it down to the 6-yard line. Critical that UMass gets points because they only have 1 timeout remaining. And they're down by 2 touchdowns.
Oh yeah, they got to go for a touchdown here. This is pure touchdown territory at this point. And I do believe the way it's spotted, the ball's on the 6, they can get a first down on the 1-yard line, can UMass.
Back to the ground with Comas keeping it. Comas spins away and he is into the end zone for a touchdown.
Boy, needed that.
Second rushing touchdown for Ross Comas. 4th touchdown in total. And UMass stops the run for Liberty at 21 answered points.
Yeah, good for Ross Comas because he's been running the football hard all day when he's had his opportunity. And once again, it looked like the defender got his hand around the face mask there of Ross Comas. He's able to spin away, get in the end zone for the touchdown. Well, you'll never question how tough Ross Comas is. I don't know if he enjoys running to contact, but he runs to contact a lot.
And you made a great point too, Gresh. That 4th down conversion, 4th and 12, he stood in there and he took a pretty good lick. He's taking some hits running the football, throwing the football. He's doing all he can, and UMass is within a touchdown. Down by 7, 6:42 to go.
We take a look at it from the end zone angle. Nice job by the offensive line, and then a good run through by Comas. He does a good job of getting his pad level down for a quarterback running in a goal-to-go situation. And that's exactly what the doctor ordered for the Minutemen right now. The band is starting to get hyped up. I think they announced about 127 seniors at halftime in the band, so this may be their last performance at McGuirk as well. They're all fired up. And we'll see if this defense can now play with a sense of purpose here with 6:42 to go. And this thing ain't over by a long shot.
The teams have combined for 1,011 yards. Right now, the lead on the scoreboard belongs to Liberty. UMass with 610 yards, Liberty with 401. 14 points off turnovers. The difference right now for UMass. They've got 7 points off of turnovers. Garcia will boot it away from the 7-yard line. Espinoza brought down, and Liberty will bring the offense onto the field. Senior day, as well as homecoming here in Amherst, and
Marquise Young.
Marquise Young among those honored
Linebacker from Camp Hill,
before the
Pennsylvania,
game, and Brighton
accompanied
Bar,
by his father Terry, mother Quinn, and brother Trevor. Mass football, and wish you well.
Andy Isabella. There's some seniors here. Ross Comas, Andrew Ford was announced. Obviously, he had surgery, was not able to walk onto the field for senior day. A lot of smiles pregame, hoping to have some postgame smiles. Defense is going to have to come up with some big plays here. Try to get the ball back for UMass.
So Isaiah Rogers got hurt on the extra point try. We know he was taken to the locker room. So now, rotationally, this is pretty much, I think, going to lock Lee Moses on Antonio Gandy Golden. And then you see right there, that is Justin Lewis, the corner who was in. And there's Bryce McAllister, the safety. We know he can match up a little bit. So there's your matchup. I think you're going to get the rest of the game. Lee Moses will have to deal with number 11.
2nd down and 2. Hickson again had an 8-yard carry. Barr with the stick, but not before Hickson picked up the 1st down.
Well, and if you're Liberty here, you know, we talk about them throwing the football, but they've run it 40-plus times in each of their last 5 games. So you got the clock rolling in the 4th quarter. You're on the road. We know that wind is a factor. I mean, they could just as easily put Antonio Gandy Golden and Caleb Coleman on the field and challenge these corners, or they could slow play it like crazy, knowing that UMass only has 1 timeout, and throw the ball when they need to.
That looks to be the option they're using right now, taking their time. Play clock now down to 5. 1st down and 10. Back to the ground with Hickson. Another stop by Brighton Barr.
That's a stop by Barr, but that's also a 4-yard gain as well. And, you know, Ed Pinkham's got to roll the dice a little bit here. UMass defensive coordinator, he's got to get those safeties involved around the line of scrimmage to be able to handle the run game. But all it takes is one check from Buckshot Calvert to be able to flip it up to Antonio Gandy Golden in a one-on-one situation with no safety help.
11 total tackles for Barr to lead UMass again in that category.
You see McAllister creep up. Now he's going to back off, winding up about 8 yards off the line of scrimmage.
Hickson has it, tripped up.
Oh, that was close. That was close. He was almost out that front door.
Liberty sideline knew it. They were hopping along.
Yeah, Calvert knew it. Yeah, Calvert saw it from behind and said, oh, boy, you had the chance there. Chinenu Agbana might have been the guy to been able to make the play, but Tyler Hayes came up and made the shoestring tackle.
3rd down and 2 inside of 4 minutes to go in the 4th quarter.
I think Liberty's just going to run this here.
Lewis, the fullback. And the snap is over the quarterback's head, and Calvert has to just fall on it. There's the break that UMass needed.
Boy, oh boy, what a bad time for that to happen from the Liberty end. I'm a little surprised that Mark Whipple didn't maybe use his last time out right there. I mean, that snap wasn't that bad. Calvert should have caught that, but he does the smart thing. You got the lead, you're on the road, you know you can punt. They don't have a lot of timeouts. Just plop on the pigskin and let your defense take over.
Andy Isabella back to return this punt. We'll see if he has a chance to return it with Alvis set to boot it away.
Well, and does Alvis have the old rugby kick as a part of his repertoire, as Liberty is going to call a timeout here with Isabella back.
Play clock was winding down, so Turner Gill uses his first timeout.
Well, and if I'm a special teams coordinator for Liberty, Scott Downing, I'm having a discussion. Do we have it in the repertoire? Can the punter kick that thing and get it rolling on the ground? Because you don't want Isabella to have a clean look at it. And if Isabella has got to run to make a play and field the football, that's different than literally just kicking it to him and letting a dangerous guy get the ball in his hands. Decisions all the way around, they got to be made on both sides. And if you're Mark Whipple, you got to start to think about, all right, how am I going to free that guy up? And Frito, you mentioned it in the first half. That knee is barking a little bit, but I mean, we can't tell, right? It's not like we know that we see that he doesn't look right, but we haven't seen any evidence in his production today that he isn't right.
Single game school record, 303 yards for Isabella. Alvis averaging 42.5 yards a punt. Isabella will let it bounce. He'll try to pick it up, try to return it. Liberty's there in coverage. Well done by the Flames as they keep the speedy Isabella corralled. Javon Scruggs there on the tackle. UMass on offense. 2:46 to go when we come back. We are back here in Amherst. There was a first down sack for Liberty and a loss of 4 yards on the play. Now on the second down at 14 play, flags fly.
I think we have an illegal shift.
Illegal shift. Offense, 2 players in motion, never resetting. 5-yard penalty, second down.
Man, that is, Mark Whipple is not going to be happy at his football team on all of these unforced errors. Holds, illegal shifts, jump off sides. You can't win. You can't win making mistakes like that. And we've heard Mark Whipple say that before, that you just can't win making those kind of mistakes.
69 yards and penalties for UMass here today. Clock running inside of 2:10 to go. UMass up against it right now as Comis throws across the middle and it's incomplete. Intended for Sadiq Palmer.
I need to see if that ball got batted away or did Sadiq Palmer just not complete the catch.
Corbin Jackson on the coverage in that spur spot. 3rd and 19 for the Minutemen.
Take what you can get here. 10 yards ain't bad.
Comis gets a little bit more than that. Clock will continue to run. MLS with the reception. UMass with 1 timeout remaining and facing a 4th down here.
And this is tough because the clock's running, but you got to give, they're human beings, you got to give them a chance to catch their breath, to be able to run good routes, to be able to convert the first down. And here's the ball game.
Should UMass have burned their timeout here to talk things over and have that play ready to go? 4th down and 4. 90 seconds to go. Comis trying to throw. Comis completes it. Palmer's got a first down.
And the clock stops. Boy, what a big-time throw from Ross Comis from the pocket.
Got hit again. They'll move the chains with 1:22 to go.
I mean, he is tougher than a $2 steak, let me tell you. He has been taking some hits in the pocket here. Look at that. Guys around him, not afraid to throw the football.
15-yard completion to pick up the first down. Comis will throw it out of play.
That is very smart right there. Gives you 40 seconds on the play clock to allow your guys to kind of gather themselves a little bit. You know, we think it's rough on those wide receivers. It's rough on those offensive linemen as well, you know, to just pass block. And the defense knows they can pin their ears back and rush. Those big boys need a break as well.
Lemonnier with 3 sacks here today. He's been the one to watch right from the very start. Came in with 6 sacks to lead the team. Number 11 for Liberty with 1:14 to go. Second down and 10.
They might have a chance to work something to the outside to Izzy.
They go to the ground to Young, and a big run for Young. Young across the 35. First down, UMass. They'll stop the clock to move the chains.
They will, but I think you got to get up and clock it here and sacrifice a play to stop the clock to have a chance unless you got something dialed up and ready to go.
Again, 1 timeout remaining for UMass. First and 10, they don't clock it. They throw the out to Dingle. And the pass is completed to Brendan Dingle.
Well, that's their way of clocking it right there, is just throw that out route and let them get out of bounds. So I'd have wasted a play there. UMass, they burned some time off the clock, but they find a way to get themselves in 2nd and 5.
At the 29-yard line. Back to the ground for Marquise Young. Young bounces it outside and he'll run out of bounds. Probably could have picked up a couple of extra yards, but wanted to stop the clock.
Yeah, and that's the second time now they've gone over the left side. You know, the first one, no one's thinking about it. This one, it's at least an option here, but it gets the first down, and it's a couple of things. Number 1, it stops the clock. Number 2, it's a first down, but it sets the chains to where they can get a new set of downs inside the 5-yard line.
Timeout called by Liberty.
Well, they got the flames reeling here.
48 seconds to go in the 4th quarter. UMass took a 31-24 lead into the 4th quarter, but 21 unanswered points, all in the first 4 minutes of quarter number 4 for Gill's team. Ross Comis.
And look at this, Frito. There's no one on the UMass sideline right now. Everybody. How invested are they to tie this game? Everybody came off the sideline to join that huddle. Standing in the back of that, there ain't no way you're hearing what's going on. But to me, it shows how important this is that the sideline emptied to come together.
Ross Comis, 501 yards passing here today.
That's just crazy. But can he get one more touchdown on the board?
First and 10, they go to the ground again. Young turns it up inside the 10 to the 9. Clock will continue to run.
I'll tell you what, this is also experienced play calling from Mark Whipple. Knew what would work, taking the easy stuff that's there, not panicking.
Gain of 7. Young again. Young hurdles, flips over, and into the end zone for a UMass touchdown.
Everybody thought they were going to run, or excuse me, everybody thought they were going to throw, and instead they're going to run.
Andrew Ford watching Marquise Young take it in.
Well, they go to the bunch here, and they run it to the side where the bunch set is, and Marquise Young flipping into the end zone for the touchdown. There was some talk about going for 2, but now the kick.
And this is no gimme with the wind gusting here at McGuirk. Garcia to tie it. It is perfect. 45-45, 25 seconds to go, and on senior day, a senior delivers for UMass.
Boy, what a big-time drive right there by the UMass Minutemen, and Marquise Young was a big part of it, ripped a couple of big runs off the left side, and then they hand it to the senior, as you mentioned, Frito, to get in the end zone for the touchdown. He is whirly-birding his way to the sideline. And for those who have stayed and braved the cold here in McGuirk Stadium, they have been rewarded with some kind of 4th quarter. What a comeback by the Minutemen.
Marquise Young, 18 carries, 132 yards, 2 touchdowns, playing his final game here at McGuirk. Comus over 500 yards passing, Isabella over 300 yards receiving. And a couple of big plays. UMass was down. They looked like they were out, down 45-31, but they've come back with 14 unanswered points. Caggiano on for the line drive kickoff. And it's picked up, taken across the 30 to the 34-yard line. Liberty, 21 seconds to go. They have 1 timeout remaining. And they have a big play receiver in Antonio Gandy Golden.
I think the first play is going to tell us everything. If they can go out and get a chunk of yards or a pass interference, then I think it changes the way you call it. If you get skunked and you get nothing, you probably back off and just head to overtime. You know what? Just like UMass beat them, watch the draw here.
Calvert's pass. Calvert looking for something big, had a man open, and it's incomplete. That would have changed things dramatically. It would have been a first down at the 45 of UMass with 15 seconds to go and a timeout remaining.
Yeah, and they probably would have kept the timeout in the pocket, got up there after it was set, clocked it, but the incompletion changes everything here. So I'm going to crank it up one more time, try to get another chunk.
Again, UMass playing without one of their top cornerbacks. Isaiah Rogers left the game with an apparent knee injury here in the second half. Plenty of time for Calvert. Now he's flush from the pocket. Now he's throwing and throwing incomplete. Looked for Gandy Golden, couldn't get there. 6 seconds to go. Flanagan giving chase.
Well, if you're Calvert, you've got to make sure that you do not do anything with the football where a UMass defender can get it in a spot to where they can take this thing the other way and win the game.
UMass is bringing out their Hail Mary defense. Ball is at the 33-yard line, but they've got defenders back inside the 20.
Yep. So they'll give up the pass, but they won't give up the touchdown.
Calvert across the middle. He's got a man open and he slides down. 1 second to go. That should stop the clock. They should put a second on the clock to move the chains. They may review this here, and they've got a timeout left, so from midfield they can take a crack at the end zone with a 6'4" guy who can outleap everybody.
They're probably going to take the timeout. I would think they would.
Scoreboard says 0, but I think there should be a second on the clock, and they have gone to video review for this at the end of the first half, and it benefited UMass, remember.
Please reset the game clock to 1 second. One second.
It actually looks like it'd be 2 seconds based on when he was down. And you're right, that gives you a chance for a jump ball. Both teams are huddling up here right now, and they're getting their marching orders, but I got to think somebody is going to go out there and line up and then call a timeout.
1 second or 2 second doesn't make a difference because Gill will use his timeout here.
There we go. So, yeah. All right.
Will be a full timeout.
So Turner Gill uses his final timeout so they can get off one last play here in regulation, barring a defensive penalty.
Well, this is a heck of a fourth quarter right here, and normally, or at least a wrinkle that some teams sort of play with in terms of a Hail Mary situation when you have someone that tall, though, is to throw it in the end zone and try to have someone bat it out of the end zone to be caught, say, at the 2 or 3 yard line, and then run in for the touchdown. So UMass has got to be aware of that, considering they got a couple receivers who are 6'4".
Terrell Addo, one of those back at the goal line right now for UMass. Well, you know who's going to get the most attention. Number 11, Antonio Gandy Golden.
And he is lined up at the bottom of the screen.
See if UMass can put some pressure on. Calvert will throw it up, floating, and Intercepted. We'll go to overtime. Bryce McAllister comes down with the interception. Remember, he had a couple of interceptions in the season opener here on a warm August day against Duquesne. Now on a cold November evening here at McGuirk. We'll have extra football. Overtime coming up between Liberty and UMass. Minutemen with a late. Heading overtime here at McGuirk, 45-45. UMass led 31-24 as we started the fourth quarter, and that's when the fun began.
Well, that's when Stephen Calvert threw it up to Antonio Gandy Golden for another touchdown. And then off of what you thought was a stop, it's Frank Boyd in for a touchdown. Then off of a turnover, Frank Boyd scores another touchdown. So at 45-31, Liberty up by 2 touchdowns. However, it wasn't over yet. Ross Comus led a drive. He ends up running it in for his second rushing touchdown of the day. And then with seconds on the clock, another handoff to Marquise Young, who had a couple of big runs on the drive that ultimately tied this game at 45. And we are headed to extra time.
Andrew Ford, the quarterback, whose season and college career came to an end here against Coastal Carolina a couple of weeks ago. Members of his fan club chatting him up as we get ready for the captains to come out to midfield. What's the number right now? 1127 combined yards for the two teams, right?
And
1,127.
And 90 points. So for those who don't know how overtime works, the coin toss means a lot. You win the coin toss, and you can choose whether you want to have the ball first or play defense first. Most people take the ball first, but this is a big part of this process, as each team will alternate having the football, trying to put points on the board.
Gentlemen, we're about to play extra periods. We will have one coin toss. The winner of the coin toss will have the option of offense, defense, or what end of the field they want to play on. The loser of the coin toss will have the subsequent options on even number of extra periods, 2, 4, 6, 8. You will both have one timeout per possession. End of a series will be a loss of possession. Any questions? Liberty as the visiting team will be your choice. Tails is called. And it is a heads. So you have the option of offense, defense. You like defense? You like to defend this way? Turn your backs that way? No, actually, flip back around. You're on defense. Flip back around, guys.
Tracy Jones, he needs that green vest, to direct traffic.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Liberty will play offense at the east end of the field. Good luck, gentlemen.
Well, this doesn't set up well for UMass. To me, you want the ball first. You want the first crack of getting in, because then it allows you to aggressively play defense. And Ross Comus,
he's pumping up the band.
He is.
The band has come down from Section 18, getting in position to do their post-game performance, which they do after every home game here. And the band is a couple hundred strong. And Ross Comus wants there to be a little noise down in that end zone. They may be too cold to make any noise down there.
You kidding me? I'd have sent, if I'm one of the coaches, I'm sending somebody from the sideline to get the tuba cranked up, or try to put some funny noises out there to distract people.
I don't know if that's actually a band instrument.
Trombone,
but they may
there
have
we go.
Yes. From the 25-yard line, Calvert looking for something big on the first play, and he goes right to his man, Antonio Gandy Golden. A flag is down on the play.
I think they're going to get Lee Moses on a hold.
Defense, number 3, penalties decline. Result of the play, first down.
Well, and there you go. So, you get the ball first, you want it first, you want it second. There you go. You make a big play, you're rolling on offense, they get a penalty, now you're in the head of the defense, they come back and run it.
Ninth catch for Gandy Golden. Second play of overtime, spinning into the end zone, and Liberty takes the lead. Frank Boyd has been outstanding in the second half for Liberty. 11 carries now for Boyd, 70 yards, and this touchdown.
Well, they zone read it again, and Boyd just does a good job of following the blockers, keeping the legs moving and into the end zone, and now comes a critical extra point here for Liberty.
That is Boyd's third touchdown since the start of the fourth quarter.
Didn't take long, 2 plays, 25 yards, boom, touchdown.
Probert, the wind blowing hard off his left. Knuckleball through, but it's got plenty of leg. And Liberty leads 52-45 with UMass set to go on offense here in overtime.
So to me, this is where Liberty ends up getting at least a little bit of an advantage. Let's say UMass gets 3 yards on their first play. Oh, we got another flag down here. Oh, just an offsides on the defense. So on 2nd and 7 with the lead, you can bring heat because all it is keeping them off the scoreboard now. So I think Liberty has the big advantage of having the lead because defensively they now can dictate to the UMass offense. And now for those who don't know, if UMass scores, then they're going to get the ball first the next time out. But once you start to get into a second overtime, everybody starts going for 2, and the PAT kicks go away.
Comas, over 500 yards today, will pitch it outside to Young. Liberty's ready for it, but Young still gets a couple.
And there's the exact scenario I just laid out. So you got 3 yards on first down, and if you're going to go back and throw the football right now, now's the time for Liberty to bring some pressure, force Ross Comas off the spot, and make him have to deal with throwing the football on the move. And they bring in the fullback, Peya.
Isabella split to the left. Comas has it. Comas has the first down and a few more.
And that is the first time today we have seen straight up zone read where Ross Comas is making the choice. He's either going to follow the fullback or he's going to hand it off underneath. We've seen him run the ball. We've seen him do some different things, but that's just straight up zone read right there.
First and goal from the 9 for UMass. Trailing in overtime. Bad snap. Comas lucky to get a yard or 2 out of it.
That is a potential game-saving play right there by Ross Comas to snag that football with the right hand off the bad snap. And that is not something you would expect from junior Derek Dumays. He's played a lot of football here in Amherst. You got to get that snap right in overtime. Look at that. It just went wayward on him.
Second and goal from the 7. Isabella in motion. Comas pumps, throws, touchdown! On a day where the seniors have been shining brightly, it's a freshman who comes up with a touchdown reception in OT. Emelis.
And they work Emelis and Isabella to the same side of the field. Everybody sunk back with Izzy. Emelis open underneath. Easy touchdown throw for Ross Comas here in overtime.
Cooper Garcia on to try to tie it and force another round of OT.
Well, this is Ajita Central right here on the UMass sideline.
Everything perfect. 52-52, heading to a second OT.
So UMass will now get the football first. As you heard our referee, Tracy Jones, say that it'll be the even numbers in terms of possessions as to UMass getting the football. There's a look at the touchdown right there. I mean, we're into video game stats. I mean, we were already into video game stats before this game went into overtime. But now, I mean, we're just talking about a ridiculous amount of yards, a ridiculous amount of points. But boy, this is a heck of a lot of fun. I hope people at home are enjoying this one.
So Comas, the 7-yard touchdown pass to Emilus. Garcia comes through. Comas has thrown 3 touchdown passes. He's run in for 2 touchdowns. And the UMass offense.
And the UMass defense has just run on the field.
Yep. UMass has selected the option to play defense. Liberty, 1st and 10.
Well, there you go. So UMass has taken the wait a minute. I think Turner Gill is saying, hold on here. You said that they're going to alternate each time out.
The officials are having a conversation.
If you can make that individual choice, I admit that I did. That one slipped by me.
Officials are still.
I think they're sending the. I think
talking
UMass
it over.
has to come out to play offense here, given the way Tracy Jones is. I didn't think you could make the pick. Now again, I could be wrong, but they're not shuffling the Liberty offense onto the field here. So I think we're pretty right on this. And now we're getting into the 2-point conversions for your point afters as well.
Correction, Liberty has opted to play defense first. It'll be first.
All right, now you've confused the hell out of everybody here, Tracy Jones.
UMass won the initial toss, the only coin toss, so they got the first choice.
Right.
All right, there we go. There you go. He agreed with you, Frito. So that's what it was.
Defense.
All right.
1st and 10, East end zone.
All right,
So the second overtime period, because UMass won the coin flip, then Liberty gets the second choice. They decided to go on defense. That's why Turner Gill's like, I want to play defense.
Yeah, wait, and I was thoroughly confused because when Tracy Jones announced it, it was that it's going to alternate. He didn't say you could alternate the choice. It was that you. Anyway, we're into double overtime.
Comas throws it out to Fredericks. Fredericks got about a yard.
We got it figured out. It's not like the officials were on top of it either. They had to work through it as well. It's been a long game. You kidding me? I mean, we're pushing 4 hours right now.
Temperature dropping back through the 40s. Windy, cold evening now here in Amherst. 2nd down and 9 for UMass in OT number 2. Comas, a lot of room here, and a touchdown for UMass. Emilus is the OT weapon.
And a great job at the end of this by Jordan Fredericks. So they bring Andy Isabella in that short motion to tighten the split. They work him across the field. Fredericks looks like he's running a wheel route. Watch Fredericks out of the backfield. Here comes Emilus underneath, right? He blows by the linebacker. And then look at Jordan Fredericks making the block on the outside against Brandon Tillman to get his guy in the end zone. And apparently it's after 2 OTs that they go for 2.
Garcia puts it through. If
we get to a third,
Liberty scores, they have the choice of going for 2 or kicking an extra point. But after the second overtime period, everyone goes for 2. Place kickers are done.
I thought they moved it to 1. It was 2. Nevertheless,
UMass has a 59-52 lead as Liberty brings their offense onto the field.
And you know what? If these teams both start missing 2-point conversions, we might be here all night. I mean, I ain't kidding you. This thing could go on for a while.
Liberty has matched their season high in scoring. They scored 52 in 2 previous games this year, so they've gone for 52 for a 3rd time. UMass have scored 63 against Duquesne in the season opener.
Well, and now if you're UMass, and again, I talked about the defensive strategy when you're playing from behind, ripping the ball out, stripping the ball, This is where you want to try to gang tackle and get that football if you can.
Boyd's been good contact from behind. That's Addo who brought Boyd down.
Now, I know that we're wrapped up in terms of scoring plays, but again, let's remember, this is going to get spotted at 3rd and 4. So all they need is a couple of yards, Liberty, to be able to reset the chains and get a first down. We get wrapped up in overtime about scoring plays and the different machinations as to how it works. But you can still move the chains twice if you're Liberty to get it in the end zone.
3rd down and 4. Calvert has room to run. It's going to be maybe a foot short of the first down marker. Remember, they started this drive in overtime at the 25, and where the officials are spotting it, it looks like it's just going to be just short of the 15. It will be 4th and inches here in overtime for Liberty. Give up the middle, and that's enough for a first down.
Yeah,
and
so
overtime
close.
will continue.
Yeah, he was so close. I thought that it was just going to be a lean forward to be able to get it. And it's interesting that Liberty pounding it, not trying to throw the ball to the outside to Antonio Gandy-Golden. And again, they needed about a foot for that first down.
Again on the ground, and Addo there for another stop.
You know, let's not forget that we made a big deal about Antonio Gandy-Golden, and rightfully so, but Caleb Coleman is 6'2", so they do have another big wide receiver that they can throw the football to up in the end zone. And it looks like Liberty is going to put both of those big wide receivers to one side of the field, top of the screen.
UMass does have a timeout if they decide to use it. It is 2nd down and 10. UMass leading here in the second overtime at McGuirk. Back to the ground. Hickson breaks a tackle inside the 5. 1st and goal for Liberty.
Boy, it was almost like UMass was trying to bait them to throw that ball to the outside. They rolled the safety over, so it was just man coverage out there on those 2 big wide receivers, and they stick with the run game.
Quick snap. Hickson bobbled the football, but he's into the end zone. Touchdown, Liberty.
Wow, what a game. Got to give Liberty a ton of credit here. In both of these overtimes, they have been very efficient in running the football.
Now Probert to tie it and send it to a 3rd overtime. Right down the middle. 59-59.
I mean, what do we add? What do we say here? I mean, it's just who is not going to score. I mean, it doesn't matter how it happens for the winning team. Whether you make a stop or whether the other team makes a mistake, doesn't matter. Just find a way to win.
Well, on senior day, will it be a senior who comes up with the key play? Ross Comas has thrown a couple of touchdowns in the overtime sessions.
And that one, the 89-yarder to Andy Isabella to get it all started. Comas has been very tough standing inside the pocket right there. Tough running to get in the end zone. That was the first of his 2 rushing touchdowns. Then he puts the ball on the ground. Look at this right here. Look at the extra effort. Great effort on senior day by Ross Comas there to get those extra yards. And here is that 2nd touchdown run. They got him to within a touchdown in the 4th quarter. And we're into overtime number 3.
UMass deciding to go on defense here to start the 3rd overtime. So Liberty trots that offense right back onto the field after scoring. And they go right back to the ground. Boy. And this running game has been very good. As we talked about earlier in our telecast, not much was really expected for Liberty in the run game, but it has been something that has been a pleasant surprise, as this season has been a pleasant surprise for this Flames program. Back to the ground. UMass is there And it'll bring up a 3rd down and a long 2 for the Flames.
I'm a little surprised that UMass didn't want the ball first.
Well, they're consistent. They won the toss. They
Right,
won on defense.
right.
This is what they
It's clearly the theory.
map out. Who is going to get a stop? Opportunity here for UMass. 3rd down and a long 2. Hickson needs to get to the 15, and he was pushed back. 4th and 1 coming up, and now if you're Turner Gill, do you try a long field goal or do you go for it on 4th down?
Go for it. You got nothing to lose. They've converted every other time.
And they are going to take a timeout to discuss it.
Yep. Now, I do believe that is the only timeout that you get there in overtime. So it's a one-shot deal.
Per session.
Per session, sorry. So one-shot deal here. So if UMass ends up catching them on a play where they'd love to get different personnel in, but UMass starts to pick up the pace, Liberty could end up being stuck. But if you're going to use it, this is the time to use it because they're clearly not kicking. You don't have to call a timeout to decide whether you're going to kick the field goal.
It would be a 33-yard field goal, which doesn't sound like a long field goal, but with the wind blowing the way it is, probably feels more like a 50-yard attempt. So they will bring the offense out there for a 4th down and short.
And you're also reacting to what you've seen. And in both of the overtimes, they've run the ball very efficiently.
Fourth and 1. Calvert, the give, and that's a 1st down. Brighton Barr thought he had him, but Hickson leaned forward and had the 1st down.
Well, it makes sense. Again, in these overtimes, they've been running it very well. Good lean there.
Exactly. Barr got him behind the line, but that lean forward was enough for the 1st down.
Hickson just a little lower than Barr.
Flag on the play. Barr leaves no doubt this time as he buries Hickson. This flag could be against Liberty.
Wow, that's a critical penalty right there to get an illegal formation.
45 yards and accepted penalties for Liberty here tonight.
Well, now it could force you into a pretty interesting play-action situation. So, of course, with the ball on the left hash, they're going to put Antonio Gandy-Golden all the way out to the right to pull safeties into the middle of the field and make it easier to run the zone read, I think.
Gives to Hickson. UMass is ready for the run. Loss of about a half yard on the play. Addo has been everywhere here in the second half at overtime.
Yeah, same for Barr as well. Both guys flying around. Of course, Liberty also running the football and giving those guys more opportunities to make tackles. Boy, Addo flying around.
Second and 15. Calvert to pass. Under pressure, throws it up, and it is intercepted. UMass gets the stop they needed. And when they pull up the pile, guess who? He has been everywhere on the field. Addo has the pick.
Yeah, Addo lined up with the receiver in the slot. And Stephen Calvert, buckshot, needed a little more juice on that football, just sort of floated it up there. I also think Calvert sort of locked onto that receiver because at the bottom of the screen, Caleb Coleman had beat the corner one-on-one. Calvert never looked that way. Good ups by Addo there.
Great ups by Addo.
Now, Mark Whipple, I don't think, will be playing for field goal because there is some kicking PSD, you know, there's some issues there in terms of kicking. He's thinking, we're punching this in the end zone. I'm not leaving it up to a kicker.
Out of the eye on first down, Young moves the pile forward.
There you go, just like UConn, push the pile.
Pile keeps moving, gain of about 4 on first down.
I mean, that's the last thing I think Mark Whipple wants to do, is to leave it up to a kicker, because there's so much that can go wrong with a snap and a spot, and we know the wind is making it wonky. He's got to challenge his offense to get this ball into the end zone, and a now visibly limping Andy Isabella is lining up out to the left. Just into the game.
Comas has it. Cuts it back, and Comas took another hard hit, and he's got enough for a first down.
Boy, you mentioned it, taking a hard hit. Another guy's been flying all over the field, Solomon Ajayi, the brother of Jay Ajayi, NFL running back, with the big hit on Comas. There's your zone read right there. Follow Peya, the quarterback, puts his foot in the ground, and then bam! The big hit from Ajayi. And Comas is like, that's a first down, man. I'll deal with the pain tomorrow.
Well, you remember last year, UMass played a double overtime game against App State, won by Logan Lawrence, 36-yard field goal, and the backflip that followed. So they have won in overtime. That was double overtime last year. Conditions were a little bit different. Wind is truly howling here, and I agree completely. You've got to think about getting it into the end zone. Don't leave it up to the kicking game. However, now inside the 15-yard line, you start opening the kicking window a little bit more.
And I think they may try to keep this ball in the middle of the field to make the kick that much easier. Boy, big split on the left side.
Back between the tackles again, and Marquise Young down to the 8-yard line.
Well, and the one good thing about this from the UMass perspective is they move the chains once, you can move it again, they end up getting inside the 5-yard line, it's going to be a new set of downs, and then they get 3 cracks at it before they then would have to turn it over to a kicker to win the game.
3rd down and 3. If they are stopped here, they will turn it over to Garcia to try to win it.
I would think so, but they can get another set of downs. No Isabella in the game.
It's going to be in the hands of Marquise Young. Young's got it. Young tried to bounce it outside, ends up at the right hash mark. Looks like he's going to be maybe a half-yard short, maybe even less than that of a first down, and maybe enough to measure.
Yeah, measure this, don't you?
Now the officials are saying 4th down, and here comes Garcia.
Wow, they send the kicker in the game with no measurement. I thought that was close enough to take a look at.
Now the ball's spotted before the 5. So here comes Cooper Garcia in his first year with the UMass program. Connected from 28 to close out the first half on the opposite end of the field, and now UMass is going to call a timeout. Liberty will call a timeout. But didn't Liberty use a timeout?
But if it's the reset for each period,
this is the 3rd overtime period. Liberty does not have a timeout.
Whip is out on the field telling the officials what are they doing.
Whipple holding up this finger. They called a timeout on 4th down.
They called it this period, right? Okay, so it was. So they didn't reset it on the scoreboard here at McGuirk.
Whipple's not done.
We made overtime so complicated in college football with the going for 2, and when do you get timeouts? When don't you get timeouts? I mean, we take a great game and we complicate it because of rules and people.
Officials, more of an internal discussion. I haven't heard an announcement at all here. At the very least, it has stopped play here for Garcia to think about things a little bit longer.
And he drilled that first one, too.
Play. It's under review.
So now they're going to video review. Well, Cooper Garcia is going to have a lot of time to think.
But is that what? And Whipple is not happy that they're now.
Don't blame him.
So if they give him a first down, then it changes everything.
But
boy,
there's no way unless they're going to challenge the spot or change it where the spot was. But if the ball is before the 5-yard line, the series starts at the 25. So you cannot pick up a first down unless you at least get to the 5-yard line. Look at Mark Whipple leading the cheers here.
Well, you know what?
This is great.
But, you know, Whip told us that there were times where his team had gone flat. So that's part of the reason I think he's trying to get him fired up.
Hang on.
I think we're getting a penalty here. There it is. Now, if this is going to end up being a penalty on Liberty because they took the timeout,
that would give UMass
them a first down. It would be half the distance to the goal.
The timeout's reset. You're given one per session. They used it on the 4th down play, so that should be a penalty against Liberty.
After review, it will be 4th down.
I do not know what's going on, but here's all we know is that if Cooper Garcia hits this kick, everybody gets to go home happy.
The bottom line here is Garcia is setting up to win it for UMass. A 22-yard field goal attempt. Wind blowing from left to right to win it for the Minutemen. It is good! It feels like it was 2 games.
Yeah.
In the end, UMass wins 1 game, but it's a big victory in triple overtime, 62-59. Cooper Garcia comes up with the game-winning field goal. What a comeback for the Minutemen.
And here's the
45-31, the interception leading to the field goal, and UMass wins it here in Amherst. Cooper Garcia from 22 out, and the Minutemen have the win. This telecast by 11 Sports, granted by UMass. Any rebroadcast requires the express written consent of UMass and 11 Sports. For Andy Gresh, Matt Goldstein, and our entire team, I'm Eric Freed. So long from Amherst.